Well, my name is Brinsley McNamara. Welcome to the Weird Ireland podcast. It's Christmas time again, so it's that time of year to bring out the coniferous trees covered in festive Christmas baubles, put on your colourful Christmas jumpers for the 12 pubs, send out your seasonal cars with robins and snowy scenes, jam to carols down the town, and bait it into the bar before midnight on the 24th. But when you think about it, what does any of this have to do with Ireland? So today, for Weird Ireland's Christmas Jumble, myself, Shameen O'Burke, and producer Miles are getting merry and discussing Christmas and its connection to Ireland, past and present. Shameen, how are you doing today?
Very good, Brinsley. I have a sherry in one hand and a cider in the other, so not too bad.
Yeah, we kitted out Studio One for this podcast with, we got ourselves some Christmas crackers. On that note, best man wins. Uno, dos, tres. Oh. I won. What did I get?
Give us one there.
Give me a second.
Oh shit! That just fell apart.
Twice lost.
What?
Shameen, what did you get, Miles? Aye. That's gonna pop in the audio. Here, you can have my crown because you're not wearing a hat. I'm wearing a Santa hat right now.
A word search. A fucking word search.
I've got a tree you can draw on, and I've got a joke. Do you want to hear my joke?
Go on, yeah. I have one here as well.
The joke. What begins with T, ends with T, and has T in it?
Don't know.
Teapot.
Ugh. Mine is what kind of ball doesn't bounce?
Wait. Let me. What kind of ball doesn't bounce? Doesn't bounce. I'm not going to be able to get it because it's going to be so dumb.
Something you find this time of year, or you have to make it.
You have to make it.
Yeah.
A snowball.
Aye, snowball. Yeah. Terrible.
Okay, we've got charades here, but this would be such because we're on a non-visual format.
It
would just be tedious and frustrating for anyone listening for us to start playing charades. All right, and how are you doing today, Miles? I know you don't have a microphone, but. All right, so no, we've got our sherry, we've got our Baileys, we've got you're drinking cider. What? Yeah, take the pen. We've got our mince pies, we've got our Christmas crackers, we've got our decorations up. So we're bringing it down for Weird Ireland's Christmas Jumble.
And this really heavy Christmas pudding as well.
Very dense Christmas pudding.
Really heavy.
I don't know what we're going to do with that, to be honest, because I don't know how you eat it or anything.
I'm not into pudding, so I probably won't eat any of that.
What about at home? What kind of things did you have? Like, did you have mince pies, Christmas puddings?
Nah,
turkey?
Just be the standard Christmas dinner, really. Ma used to make the Bailey's whipped cream thing for ice cream, but like weren't really into much of the really traditional things like the mince pies and all that. Like, yeah. I don't really like pies that much anyway.
I never actually heard of the. You mentioned earlier today the Bailey's whipped cream. I never heard of it until you said it.
It's
today.
really good.
It sounds unreal. Yeah, Bailey's is very versatile for cooking with and stuff. So no, we've got a pretty loose format today. We're going to
very loose.
Well, we're going to get loose. We're getting loose, and it's going to be loose. Yeah. So we're just going to talk all things, Ireland, Christmas, and whatnot, that kind of thing. You go ahead.
Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Where do you want to start?
Christmas in Ireland.
It is. It is. Today's Christmas Eve, in fact.
Okay, so why do we celebrate Christmas in Ireland then?
Well, I think the most important question is actually. We might need to cut around this.
Yeah.
So wait, it's Christmas Eve, yeah?
It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, so like, you're gonna manage to make it down to the pub for before midnight?
Yeah, maybe, I'd say.
Was it ever thinking, because, in Ireland, of course that tomorrow, Christmas Day, is a black day of the year, so the pubs, the off licenses, anywhere you can buy booze is closed on the day by law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a legislative thing now because like Ireland isn't as religious as it used to be.
Yeah.
Because like they got rid of the Black Friday thing not Black Friday, Good Friday thing in 2020.
Black Friday because it was a black day and it was a Friday always. Yeah.
In 2018, but like it was always a religious observance thing. But I think with Christmas Day now, it's like I think eventually you probably will be able to go to pubs and
I think so too. But what do you make of that idea? Because
to do it in the UK.
That's because we used to live in the UK and people friends of mine have told me, because it sounds weird to us. Friends of mine have told me they in some parts of in England at least I've heard you can book a table in a bar for Christmas Day and like get your dinner there and stuff. But they say you have to book it like months in advance, and it's a really big thing people do.
Yeah.
And I know someone, I know a friend of mine. Their family owned a bar and hotel. So they actually never had Christmas Day off. They were always working on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And they probably would celebrate Christmas with their family like a different day around there before or after instead.
Yeah.
Because they'd be all working on Christmas. They'd be super, super busy on the 25th of December.
Yeah.
What do you make of that whole idea? That like, do you think it's a good thing in Ireland that, because a lot of people are like, it is, a little bit like a theocracy having a bar, have a bar closed for a religious reason.
Yeah,
by law, but it gives people. They can't work. They kind of have to be at home or something. Or they can't be in the bar. They have to be at home.
Because, as you know, I grew up with my family owning a bar.
Mm-hmm.
It was that and Good Friday were the only days my dad had off.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good day just to not have the bars open where you can spend time with your family, because otherwise people would just be straight into the bar as usual. But at the same time, I'm not religious, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. I'm a bit indifferent to it, to be honest, whether it came in or not. But it just seemed weird, going out. There's someone we know over in Edinburgh, their family go out to Hive nightclub in Edinburgh on Christmas Day, which I couldn't imagine even going on an ordinary day to a nightclub with my family.
It's bizarre, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it probably will change. It was only 2018 it changed. A lot of that was to do with the Good Friday thing. So for a long time, it was the 2 black days of the year, Christmas Day and Good Friday.
Yeah.
There actually used to be a third one, St. Patrick's Day, up until the 1950s.
Yeah, it's like the St. Patrick's Day. Is that something to do with it got Americanized, and that's why?
I don't know.
I'm not sure
what St. Patrick's Day was like years ago, but
it was a religious observance.
Yeah. It's far from religious day these days. You pass the cherry, so
no, there's an excuse for drinking again.
But no, thank you very much. Merry Christmas. But no, I don't know. I actually really love on Christmas Eve going in, making it into the bar for
gives a drop of that cherry.
Go ahead. Yeah. Making it into the bar for before midnight. And by the way, for anyone that doesn't know, on once it hits the stroke of midnight in Ireland on Christmas Eve, it becomes the 25th. It's then illegal for a bar to be open and for it to be selling booze. Yeah. So it's actually before midnight they'll be seriously get out. But the place is rammed right up until that minute. It's actually great. It's really festive.
Yeah, the guards go around and make sure the bars are all closed.
Oh, it's serious. It's serious. Yeah, you can be prosecuted.
Yeah.
However, then I don't know if it used to happen for Good Friday actually, where because on let's say you're out on a Thursday in Dublin before Good Friday, and you're in a nightclub or a bar. Once it hit the midnight turn into Good Friday, it was seriously, everybody get out. But then once on Good Friday it hit midnight and became the Saturday, things reopened like that. So nightclubs start reopening at midnight. So I wonder does the same thing happen on? Does it happen on Christmas Day once it hits the stroke of midnight and becomes Stephen's Day?
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that happening, but legally they could.
Yeah, because a lot of bars have to close at 12:30 anyway, unless they have late licenses, or maybe 1 o'clock or something like that. I can't remember. Why did they get rid of the Good Friday thing?
I think it was just I remember when it happened. I really think it was initially the whole rugby thing that it was that was affecting sales outside venues so much, and then they're we'll just change this all around the country.
Yeah,
it was bound to happen eventually. It was the biggest pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think this is a bit conjecture on my part, but it might have been a problem with the Vintners Federation in Ireland as well, because Friday is a big day for bars to actually get to bring money in, so they might have had a hand in trying to change that.
Yeah, they're a powerful organisation, the Vintners.
No, I don't think it's much anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's. If you couple the Good Friday thing along with the smoking ban back in the day, bars lost an awful lot of business because of the smoking ban.
Yeah.
So having a Friday of the year is actually major on, especially smaller businesses that actually have to close on a Friday.
Yeah. And I was going to say that because it closes, the bars are closed all day Christmas Day, 25th of December. Then on St. Stephen's Day, the 26th, which I'm pretty sure Ireland's the only country that calls that St. Stephen's Day. The Brits all call it Boxing Day.
Yeah.
I don't think the Americans call it anything.
Yeah,
I need to ask someone about that.
Yeah.
I'll ask her right now, actually. But as a result, St. Stephen's Day, along with St. Patrick's Day, are the 2 biggest drinking days of the year. Would you agree? Would you concur, Shameen? Are you listening to me?
Yeah. I'm listening. Yeah. No, I'm just looking up the American date as well.
Yeah.
I think they might call it Boxing Day as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. What do you think, Shameen?
About which? The
question
search?
I just asked you.
Which one?
Did you hear me?
I was listening, yeah.
Well, what did I say then?
I can't remember.
Would you say that St. Stephen's Day I think it's almost equal with St. Patrick's Day as the biggest night of the year.
New Year's as well.
I find New Year's kind of lacking in Ireland.
Yeah.
At least in Mullingar.
I don't know, a lot of time I try to not go out on New Year's because I find it way too busy. You can't do anything.
You can't. Not to mention, at least years ago we used to go out. it was very similar to St. Stephen's Day, and you saw all the same people, and oftentimes you're in the same place.
Yeah. Well, like for the past 10 years, I think pretty much every New Year's I had spent in Edinburgh or Hogmanay over there.
Oh, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing with Ireland. I mean, I remember even because I was actually curious, is there anywhere in Ireland that is a traditional St. Stephen's Day, New Year's Eve celebration?
Yeah.
And because in Mullingar, it's nothing really special, you know what I mean? And I looked on, I managed to find a Reddit, and somebody else asked the same question, and almost everyone was saying, no, it's not, you know, like New Year's Eve, like we celebrate it, but it's not like a big, huge, it's not like in Scotland where Hogmanay is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then one guy in the Reddit thread, first time I heard about this, was like Portmagee, County Kerry, near Catersaveen, I think on the Ring of Kerry, small village celebrates, they have like a 300-year-old New Year's Eve celebration in Portmagee.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to it this year, or at least me and Miles are. Did we ever tell you how it works? What happens there?
No, go on.
What happens there? Portmagee, not a big village. Seemingly their celebration comes from when a French ship accidentally, I think, broke, like off the coast, had to land for New Year's and be around for the day, and they got the celebration from the French. You can find videos on YouTube of all of this. As it approaches midnight, well, for one thing, they've got bands marching of like bagpipe players and this kind of thing. And then they dress up a man, like an old man wearing a big haggard, you know, mask and harished wig and this kind of thing. And they lead him through the town arm in arm. And then at the stroke of midnight, you just hear a huge bang. And they've shot and killed. And it'll have 2024 written on him.
Yeah.
And it'll have shot and killed 2024, old man 2024.
Right.
And he'll vanish. And then a young man will appear in a bowling hat, a shirt, holding a cane with 2025 written across him.
Yeah.
And so the young man 2025 will come out and he struts up the town and he makes a speech and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it looks crazy. It's a really old tradition they've been doing in Portmagee for a long time.
Yeah.
So
is it a big honour to be the New Year?
Seemingly it's a big honour, and it's a secret who is going to be the New Year until he appears wearing his bowler hat and that. So
would it be like a famous person or just some
no,
local...
some lad from the parish, like
from the parish. Fair enough.
So no, we're heading down there for New Year's through we're going to be staying at Portmagee and everything for that, make videos, that kind of thing.
You're going to Kerry.
Yeah, it's in Kerry, Portmagee, County Kerry. It's going to be a 5 hour, you saw that, Miles, yeah? 5 hour drive. We'll leave in good time. Yeah.
5 hours.
And how does St. Stephen's Day work in Ireland then? Because St. Stephen's Day, I'm going to say, is the bigger day than New Year's. And all right, you break down for us what happens on St. Stephen's Day in Ireland, in your experience at least.
Just go drinking from like midday.
Yeah. Now Paddy's Day, I would have said that about midday because you can start drinking at like noon. Yeah. We typically do, like, you know.
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
Stephen's Day is more the evening, in my opinion. Years ago on St. Stephen's Day, it was very traditional for people to visit each other, to visit their family members.
Yeah.
In fairness, years ago on Christmas Day would have been the same thing. You'd visit family members, but a lot of them you'd visit on Stephen's Day as well, especially depending on where you're going for people.
I find Stephen's Day now is like anybody who lives abroad. It's usually the day that, like friends and stuff that live abroad, it's usually the day that everybody we knew is in the same spot in one go. That never happens usually. Yeah,
very true. If you got a big like extended gang, you know, of people.
Happened during the Fla, but Stephen's Day is obviously every year. The Fla
every
changes.
Year. And the thing is, and for myself and yourself too, and we lived abroad, and still for everyone we know that's coming back, they will make it their business to be back on or before Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
You know, and typically they don't stay till New Year's. Typically, if they're living abroad, living in the UK or living in Europe, they will go back to where they're living now for New Year's.
Yeah, I usually did.
Yeah, so did I. Did the exact same thing. But everyone's around for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, definitely Stephen's Day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you leave on the 27th if you have to.
I did a couple of times.
I think I probably, it's rough.
Yeah.
Another video I really want to make on the 26th is, and I have every intention of making, is a video about Wren Boys. And you already knew what Wren Boys were, didn't you, Shameen?
I didn't know what they were. I knew that they were a thing, though.
You heard the phrase before, yeah?
Is it Wren or Ran Boys?
So it's spelt W-R-E-N, like the bird, or wren.
Yeah.
But really frequently people say Ran Boys. The Ran. Yeah.
Aye. What's that little poem they sing? The Ran, the king of all birds.
Do you have it there, yeah?
Yeah, it's just like the sentences after don't really make much sense.
Sing it.
The Wren, the king of all birds. St. Stephen's Day was caught in the furs. So up with the kettle and down with the pan and give us a penny to bury the wren.
Yeah, the Ran.
The Ran.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, because what's the line before? What's the bar before? It said pan. You said pan.
Oh, yeah? Pan. Yeah.
Pan rhymes with Ran.
Okay.
That's why they say Ran. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why. Yeah. So the Wren Boys in Ireland are a older tradition in Ireland that would have been very widespread across the country. How it worked was on St. Stephen's Day specifically, the 26th of December, people would go house to house or to pubs playing music, and they would be dressed up in disguise. Depending on where in the country and when, they'd be wearing different outfits. Some places that sometimes it looked like they're wearing kind of like Halloween costumes nearly, just like in weird disguise.
Yeah, Wicker Man kind of things.
Well, no, the Wicker Man looking things, that's more so, some people call those straw boys. Not everywhere does that. Sometimes it honestly looks like Halloween costumes.
There's mummers as well.
Mummers is another thing. These are all very intertwined traditions. Straw boys, mummers, and wren boys, where people dress up in disguise and they'll play music. But the differences are wren boys are very specifically the 26th of December. Straw boys dress up in the very elaborate, kind of frightening looking straw outfits. And mummers dress like wren boys, but it can be any time of the year. Sometimes they crash weddings. Oh, and mummers also... So the wren play music and do the wren song, and sometimes they're like meant to go out and catch a wren or a fake wren and have it in a cage. Mummers do a play. The mummers thing is weird. The mummers do a play. It's nearly like something you'd see in like an English kind of folk festival thing. It's like, I don't know, they'd have a play where characters are like St. Patrick or like Finn McCool and...
Yeah,
you know, and like the bad guys like St. George and stuff like that.
For God's sake.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, but they do a play whereas the Wren Boys do the songs. And it's a celebration that went out of style a lot. Like about 100 years ago, it would have been a very prominent thing all across the country. Went out of style a lot throughout the 20th century, but has made a really big revival in recent years. If you go to Dingle, County Kerry in particular, that is basically the home of Wren Boy celebration. And in Dingle, County Kerry, they actually dress up in the proper elaborate straw boy outfits. Which look, if anyone's not seen them, you can Google it. Wren Boys Dingle or Straw Boys. It's a very elaborate. I don't know how they see it. Looks like their head is covered in straw. And they play music in the town centre. And one guy told me, I've not clarified this, but I think he's telling the truth, that the Wren Boys parade in Dingle begins at 6 a.m. And I said to him, 6 in the morning. He's like, yeah, it's an old thing. And now these days, the Wren Boy celebration actually differs a lot. My brother-in-law he's from Roscommon. And when he was a kid, he used to be a wren boy, and what they did was children, not adults, specifically children or teenagers, would go door to door, and they would they wouldn't be wearing disguise; they'd be just dressed normal, and they would sing songs, nearly like carols. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing to do, not the wren song. They didn't do that at all. They didn't do the whole catching the wren thing or anything, and they'd be given some money, and that's about it. Whereas in other places, they do still collect money, and they might wear the straw outfits or the Halloweeny outfits, but they'll give the money to charity.
Yeah.
That's a really big thing these days. Traditionally, what they did with the money was they would organize a party with it. And they just all go drinking. You know the author John B. Keane?
Yeah.
He has a book called The Baron Makers. And the book is about a lot of things. It's a novel, but one really central part of it is that the men in the village are part of like the Wren Boys kind of group, and they go out and play the music in the streets or go to people's houses, playing music, collecting money for playing music on St. Stephen's Day, and then using the money they organise a party for themselves. Sometimes I've heard people say the party be for New Year's, but I think I could be wrong. I haven't read the book in a while, but the party could happen like in February or something like that. They're just buying loads of porter. I think what they say in the book is porter for the men and sherry for the women. I think that's how it works. And one of the reasons that the like where we're from in Mullingar, the Wren Boys tradition isn't really like when our parents were kids, they didn't really they might only just barely remember, and our parents were in their 60s.
Close. But Ma was saying to me back when I would have been younger, they used to come into the bar, but I don't think they would have had the whole get up on, but they were looking for money for charity and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know if there is a contingent. I've never seen them in town.
I've never seen them and if our parents remember, it was really a long time ago. If in the year 2024, or if you hear this in 2025 or whichever year, the really strongholds for are County Kerry, County Limerick, County Cork, what's it called? Carrigaline, County Cork actually has a really big celebration, well-known celebration of Wren Boys. County Clare, I've been told as well. I know Roscommon has it, but from the people I've talked to in Roscommon, it's not adults that do it, it's kids that do it. And they're like carol singers more than anything. It's not the whole crazy outfits and music.
If it's kids that do it, would that be tied to that old Irish Halloween tradition where kids, it's kind of where the trick or treating thing came from, where
they say that
it's related somehow.
Renboys, it was literally like Halloween again. For some places, it was literally like Halloween again, going door to door and singing and sometimes wearing disguise. It was very like Halloween. Yeah. So because I want to go, because I want to make a video for about Renboys on St. Stephen's Day, what I did was I put out an APB on Weird Ireland. Like where can I see Renboys? Because I know in Mullingar I don't know of any. Although I did ask some people, and I got back about 60 responses, and a lot of people just said Dingle, just said one word, just said Dingle, which is more than fair. I know it's like the home of that, but it's too far away. Because I want to go back. I want to go out in town as well later on. A lot of people say Carrigaline, but also too far away. Munster in general, sadly for me, is a little bit too far away. Some people actually mentioned Tipperary. Doable, maybe. Otherwise, I was told Ashburn, County Meath, very close. Kilcock, outside between Kilcock and Enfield, there's Donadia Woods. They have a celebration there of it. And very interestingly, there's actually a lot of Renboys in County Dublin. In North County Dublin, in villages there near Ashbourne. It's not the same group, I've been told.
Okay.
They celebrate it a lot. And actually, a lot of places in Dublin, pretty much around Dublin City, either never lost a tradition or revived it in the 80s or 90s.
Right.
So you can actually find quite a lot of Renboy celebration in Dublin. I feel like where we're from is like a black hole of this. It nearly feels like, where we just don't know anything about, because it just doesn't happen in Mullingar, you know?
Yeah, I've never seen it at all. So, but like I did know like they existed, and then we were talking about them a few months ago for some. Maybe when we were recording the Halloween one or something.
It does get very mixed up because, like I said, the traditions are so depending on where and when, their outfits are different. What songs they sing are different. Is it kids or is it adults that do it? Do they go to bars? Do they go door to door? Or in the case of Donadia Woods, in County Meath or Kildare, it's very close. I don't know which one it's in, to be honest. They play in the woods near a coffee shop, where there's a coffee shop in the woods, and they do it during the day. So it's just such a varied thing. But I found that in counties Armagh and Fermanagh, they don't always call them Renboys or Mummers. They call them Rhymers.
All right. Okay.
And there's one in Armagh. I'll get up a picture for you, the Armagh Rhymers. You know the way you said Wicker Man?
Yeah.
Now, the Straw Boys do look pretty Wicker Man-y, but boy, nothing beats the Armagh Rhymers. Holy smokes, I'll show you. Get them up there, Holy smokes. Folk horror out of it. Yeah, all this is very folk horror-y, by the way.
Wow. That looks mad.
I know. They've got a Rhymer centre up there.
It's all like cow heads and horse heads and
No, they got a very active community up there.
Looks like a pantomime or something. It's crazy looking. That would be like expensive gear as well. Like,
well, if you can make it, then
yeah. There's a picture of them here playing bowrons and banjos. It looks mad.
The way you said pantomimes, I kind of feel like, and I was told this by somebody else, they kind of guessed that that Christmas pantomimes took over from it, because some of them were basically pantomimes at Christmas.
Yeah, I did see that like pantomimes were like a big thing on Stephen's Day for a long time. Not so well. Like the pantomime's on now. But, yeah.
I think it's Alice in Wonderland in town this year.
It is.
Is that what it is? Yeah, it is that.
I was at there.
Was it good?
I don't know.
If we sound, by the way, a little bit underinformed about Renboys, it is honestly because there is parts of the country, even Wexford, Wicklow has a lot of these things.
Hard to find none of them, I found.
Because I asked a lot of people, and I've a good resource of asking people, but we just, in Mullingar, it's not a thing. It's not a thing. So it's not been a thing, wasn't even really a thing in our parents' generation.
Yeah.
If you go back further, maybe.
Yeah. Probably
it's
your
also
grandparents.
it's also a very countryside thing in a lot of places. It's because we're from the town, really. It's not really a town thing so much.
Yeah.
At least not this town.
Aye.
Yeah. I was gonna say there, I realized there that the Renboys, specifically St. Stephen's Day. And by the way, let me just elaborate on that. Do you know why it's St. Stephen's Day and why it's Renboys?
No.
It's because the story goes that the St. Stephen original was being persecuted, being chased by soldiers, and he hid in a bush in a furze. You know the rhyme you mentioned, a furze? A furze is a bush. And a wren is a really small bird. They call it the king of the birds. It's really small, but its song is really loud. And supposedly a wren singing is what gave away St. Stephen's position, and he was captured and executed. So in like retribution for him in following years, that's men go around capture. I think originally they actually might have tried to find and capture and kill a wren and walk around with it in a cage.
They did do that.
They
I've
did.
seen that.
Now if they do that at all, they
wouldn't fly.
No, it wouldn't fly at all.
Like
Rightly so.
Here's a question as well that has only popped into my head. Why St. Stephen's Day? Who was St. Stephen? I don't actually know.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask that because otherwise I have to bring this. I've been asked that recently when and I didn't know the answer. So who is he being persecuted by? Before I look it up, my assumption then and my assumption now is that he's an early Christian saint in the Roman Empire era, and he's being persecuted by the Romans. So let me see if
why
I'm
was
right.
he canonized, or do you know?
Oh, I mean, he'd be a martyr if he was caught for his beliefs. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
enough,
back then they were canonizing, wall to wall. So like, easy done.
Threw a curveball at you there.
Yeah, that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah, curveballs and conjecture.
Yo, big time. You betcha. Why do the Brits call it Boxing Day? I know. I've asked that question before, and it's so not our thing.
Like is it because
boxing?
There's a lot of boxing on that.
Is there
day.
boxing on that day?
Hold on.
I know, I know in the USA, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like a big thing is you sit down and watch football.
Yeah,
because there's football on that day. Is there boxing on Boxing Day?
Right. The first thing that comes up on Google, I don't know if that's entirely right, but got its name from when Queen Victoria was on the throne. In Victorian times, the wealthy would box up items they no longer needed to give to the poor. Makes sense.
I didn't hear any of that. I wasn't listening to you. What'd you say?
Boxing Day got its name when Queen Victoria was on the throne. So in Victorian times, the wealthy would box up items they no longer needed to give to the poor.
Okay, boxing, right. Before we go into something else, I'll say St. Stephen, circa 5 AD to 34 AD, so early Christian period. He was a deacon in Jerusalem, accused of blasphemy, stoned to death, pretty much what I thought.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the whole boxing, like boxing up presents and giving them to people. I was looking into, there's a book out, it came out last year, called Christmas and the Irish Miscellany. Yeah. It's a pretty big book. I actually got the Kindle version of it because I wanted to read it before this and or read. It's a big book now, and it's actually a compilation of essays, and a lot of them are quite academic, but I got the Kindle version so I could read it sooner. A lot of them will talk about Christmas in Ireland, like the origins of it and what it was like in the Middle Ages. And the fact that you mentioned boxing up presents there, a really big thing was lords or kings giving presents to their subjects on Christmas Day. That was always a thing. And the thing is, any of these medieval accounts is that you almost never hear the common person's experience of anything back then, because history in particular was written by and about the upper classes. So you'll read a lot about what they did, but the actual folk history of it, a lot less known. But what the points they'll always go on to with medieval Irish Christmas is, number one, Easter was more important back then. Christmas being more celebrated is a pretty recent thing. Easter was a more important one. Christmas was a celebration, but less popular. They always bring up that there was feasting. There was a lot of feasting. It could be the kind of feast where there's like 100 hogs and 20 geese eating at it, and more than that,
madness.
And they but it was kind of a power play thing. And a lord or a king would invite over lesser lords, and they would be dining on his behalf, so it was kind of like in his pocket kind of thing. There was a lot of that at it. It was a big time of year for taxation, paying your tax to the lord. And there's a lot of record keeping about that. It's similar to these days, really, in a way, because you want to get your taxes in.
This is what you were telling me about earlier on.
You want to get your taxes in at a certain time. Christmas was a good time for that. Another thing I actually wanted to mention was the mummers. They're actually, or some of the groups will do the whole 12 days of Christmas. Can you tell me? Not everyone, and people get this wrong all the time these days. I had to look it up recently. What days are the 12 days of Christmas? Because right now a lot of podcasters are doing their 12 days of Christmas. They'll do a small podcast every day, and they'll start so it ends on Christmas.
Right. I'm going to say it might be the 12th day might be the 6th of January. Because that used to be Old Christmas or Christmas.
Either Little Christmas or Women's Christmas.
The Feast of the Epiphany as well.
Oh yeah, so there we go.
I'm assuming the 12th day, it's like the 12 days leading up to the 6th of January.
Exactly. And do you know what that means? The first day of Christmas is? Christmas Day.
Oh yeah,
Christmas Day is Christmas Eve doesn't even count. Christmas Day is the first day of Christmas. The 6th of January is the 12th day of Christmas. So it's funny how these days in Ireland and all across the Western world, anyways, like the Christmas is like the days leading up to it.
Yeah,
and then Christmas Day is almost like a little bit anticlimactic. Unless you're a little kid, then you get presents. It's great. Or if you parent with little kids, then it's a lot of fun too. I guess
it's great. Like
it's brilliant.
Miss that.
But no, because these days, especially once it hits 1st of January is New Year's Day, all that. But then by the 2nd of January, it's like you're kind of done with it. But no, years ago, the holidays actually began on Christmas Day and could lead up to the 6th of January. No, always. Working. To this day, working on Christmas Eve is a very common thing.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't, years ago, you wouldn't even expect time off until Christmas Day and the days after that.
Yeah.
You're getting your holidays earlier than that.
Yeah. Or I've seen as well on the 6th of January as well, that in Ireland anyway, traditionally men would take on the duties, or what would be considered women's duties on that day, for one day only.
Yeah, for one day.
Bit of an antiquated way of looking at it, but
well, the thing is now, the Naban, Women's Christmas, is gone very out of fashion. Even in our parents' generation, that would have been more so a thing. So they've kind of lost a Women's Christmas in a way. Wouldn't surprise me if it will or is making a comeback, because a lot of old celebrations are, in fairness, in Ireland, Weird. Well, I used to live in Spain, and there the 6th of January was actually also a really big holiday. They actually, it was almost bigger than Christmas Day. Kids would get presents on the 6th of January. I think they get both Christmas Day and the 6th, but the 6th was a really big one. And kids would have the 7th of January off as well, because the idea was that they have the 7th to play with the toys, and then they're back in on the 8th. Here's a clever thing. So in Ireland and in a lot of countries, Santa Claus gives presents.
The big man.
The big man himself. And even I found accounts going back to the 1930s saying Santa Claus again. So it is. I was surprised by that. I didn't know Santa Claus was a thing in Ireland in 100 years ago. It was actually. In Spain, and I think some other countries, it's the three wise kings that give presents on Christmas Day.
All right.
When I heard that, I was like, genius. That is absolute genius. That makes perfect. That adds up so well,
Would make sense.
Yeah, it's up because they're coming with gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have wanted that as a child now. But
no, I don't know what you do with that. Well, sell gold.
What even is myrrh?
It's a spice, I think.
Is it?
It's a scented spice.
Did you watch the toy show this year?
I didn't, and the Late Toy Show.
I watched it there the other day
on RTE Player.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was in Edinburgh the night it was on.
It's when you were for anyone that is not listening, the Late Toy Show is a long Irish tradition. The biggest late night TV talk show in Ireland is the Late Show, kind of like the US Late Show.
Yeah,
but this is late twice. Not that it's on any later. I guess they just couldn't have two late shows.
Yeah,
is a Irish late night talk show that began in the late 1960s.
1975.
No, the actual Late Show, not the toy show.
Oh right, okay.
The Late Show since the 60s, and for its longest time, the biggest show in the country. I guess it probably still is the biggest show in the country, but not quite the. I mean, years ago, the Late Show was like everybody watched it, and you get all the most compelling analysis and hottest interviews on it. I've always heard stories like my dad saying when he went to mass on a Sunday, the priest would often be talking about what blasphemous things were they saying on the Late Show. That was a really big thing.
It's usually quite wholesome, so I don't know.
Now it is, but back then it was all contraception, abortion, Catholic Church telling us this, they
wouldn't like that.
No, it's quite, now it's kind of more conservative and wholesome, but back then it was kind of the front line of I don't know, Irish society and the changing art society. And the original presenter, Gay Byrne, presented until 1999. He presented it for about 30 years. And he kind of, in a way, was the Late Show. They've had three presenters since, Pat Kenny, Ryan Tubridy, and Patrick Keelty. But anyways, in the 1970s, they began the Late Toy Show. And it would be, at least in our lifetime, it always airs late November. This year, early December.
Yeah, what was the reason behind that?
Was it the election?
It might have been that.
The general election was in the last Friday, and it's always a Friday as well.
Or I'd seen something interesting there yesterday as well about advertising on the Late Toy Show.
Was it like the Super Bowl?
It's prestigious for advertisers because for a 30-second slot, it costs €17,000 compared to UEFA, the football, where it's like 9,000.
Holy God!
Which is like that's quite a difference. Like
how long is the Late Toy Show? Goes on all night nearly.
It's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours maybe. Yeah.
There's a lot of people in Ireland who, when they're a kid, you watch the Late Toy Show because what they do is they showcase all the toys coming out that Christmas and what kids can buy. And it's for adults to know what to buy, and it's for kids to see them and kind of like, oh my God, get me that. But it's transformed over the years in that in the last few years it's more focused on the kids rather than the toys. And which is a great wholesome thing. And a lot of people watch it as they were kids and then keep watching it as they're adults. Like some of our buddies watch it. Like won't go out that Friday. We'll stay at home and watch it late. A lot of people actually complain about the Late Show that it actually begins pretty late. I know it's called the Late Toy Show. But it begins at like 9 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. And by the end of it, it's quite late, and kids have to to go to bed. So they wouldn't mind it going on earlier. But it's as much for adults. It's as much for adults.
Pretty
for kids,
much,
that TV show.
Especially with the audience, they give away cars and.
Oh yeah, it's notorious. It's notorious for. They'll present a toy and then saying there's a free one for everyone in the audience, and everyone cheers. No, it's like gold dust getting into that show, getting the audience in that.
I don't think they get the stuff they gave out isn't as good as it used to be.
It was Fierce Flahula years ago.
Yeah, Celtic Tiger stuff.
Boom posting. But last time I saw the Late Toy Show was probably, I think it could have been like 2004 or 2004. That hasn't.
We haven't watched it at all.
No,
really.
We were never a Late Toy Show house.
I liked to watch it. I remember last year I watched it when I was in Bangkok.
Really? Well, I mean, when you're abroad, it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But no, did you have the Dragonology book?
I did actually, and the Egyptology one as well.
They both came out the same year, and the next year they had Wizardology. I got that one too. But the first year, when there was
a blast from the past.
The Dragonology book was white hot. Like it was.
I must write that out.
I think I might have given it away actually. To like St. Vincent de Paul. But it was a book about. It was a really beautifully illustrated kids book about dragon lore, and man, I saw that on the Late Toy Show with Pat Kenny, and I had to have it. I absolutely had to have it. But like but me and you both collected Horrible Histories, and it was right down that alleyway.
I actually found all my Horrible Histories the other day.
If you still have issue number 3, that's the only issue I never had.
I think I have all of them.
I would like to see. I never had issue 3.
Yeah, I'll bring them down to you.
I actually had all of mine upstairs except for issue 3 because I never had that one. Issue 3 was the Egyptians.
Do you still have all of yours then?
Of all of them except for the ones given away. Like even at the special edition ones. Man, the inside spreads were amazing. Like the Christmas edition with the open spread, and it was like a Victorian Christmas in a house cross section. I was magic, absolute magic.
I still have the timelines and the cards.
Yeah, I've all those. I've not even opened most of the cards. They're still in the packets.
Oh, really?
They're still in the packets. No, I love the Horrible History so much.
They were great, like.
Yeah, it's kind of given me a lot of what I'm doing right now, this second.
Yeah.
They were brilliant. But
very nerdy.
But so shocking nerdy. Guys that were kids reading the Horrible History magazines in the early 2000s went on to watch Blackadder when they were grown men.
Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Dragonology was really up that alleyway.
Yeah.
And it was fucking brilliant. But I saw that in the Late Show. I had to have it. That's the only thing I saw in the Late Show, and I had Late Toy Show and had to have it. Well, I've not watched it since. It's not really my house. Has never been a Late Toy Show house. Some places really are like big into it.
Yeah.
But you watched it. You said like.
Yeah, I always liked watching it. I watched it some of the times in Edinburgh as well. Sometimes I kind of forgot it was on. Like,
it's a very extremely uniquely Irish tradition, and I was reading about it in the book Christmas in the Irish. There was a piece in about it how they pitched it in 1974.
Yeah,
to the Late Show board, and back then in the 70s, they really it wasn't like it was a show that was trying to push boundaries, with guests and the stuff they would talk about in Ireland. And they pitched the Late Toy Show idea in the 70s, and it was shot down initially, and then they brought it up again, and it went through. And I think were you saying earlier it was a half-hour segment?
Yeah, it was like the one because it started in 1975 properly, but I think obviously in 1974 They had a half-hour segment at the end of the Late Late Show, and it was actually really popular, and people wanted it back. So the following year, they just did a whole episode on it.
Yeah,
which I think is longer than the ordinary Late Late Show.
Maybe. I never watched the Late Late Show much at all. Never. Yeah.
Did you ever see the clip of the Lara Croft thing?
Oh, who hasn't? Jesus Christ,
that's terrible.
Oh man, the one big thing with the Late Late Toy Show was they would invite on celebrities or lots of people in costumes or that kind of thing, and like surprise the kids on the Late Late Toy Show. On the Late Late Show in general, there's always a presenter. Either it's Gay Byrne, Pat Kenny, Ryan Tuberty, whoever. But they'll have a lot of kids present it in the Late Late Toy Show and talk about the toys that they're playing with and what they like about them. It's very nice. But it must have been the late 90s or early 2000s. Was it Pat Kenny or Gay Byrne?
It was Pat Kenny, yeah.
So it was about 2000 or onwards.
Because they were playing Lara Croft on the PlayStation, and then he was just like, and then welcome Miss Lara Croft. And then some woman comes out dressed as Lara Croft, just moving really slowly and pointing guns around. And the two kids just don't care at all.
Your one player actually does it really well. And she actually, I think, does a lot of the movements she did in the game, which would look wooden because it was like a PS1 game. But yeah, it's got a certain cringe factor.
It's hard to look at. Like,
it's really
the
hard
kids
to watch.
don't care at all. They're just
really,
like, what the hell?
Really hard to watch. Yeah. Jesus Christ. What's other memorable moments from the Late Late Toy Show like that? There's been lots of them.
There was that kid who wanted to be the watchmaker kid.
Oh. I remember that, yeah.
What do you call a watchmaker?
I was going to say a homunculus, but that's a different thing.
No,
that's like
a horologist.
A horologist, yeah.
He was funny. I think this year there's some kid called Brian Ogue. He's just like a really young Daniel O'Donnell or something like that.
Oh, is he a singer of that?
I don't know if he is. He was just very eccentric kid. But they had him on the Late Late Show there the other night as well, like doing a bit too.
They always have one that's kind of like a culty kid talking about tractors and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
There was that one girl a few years ago who's just like I can't remember, they're showing her something in her garden and she's like, oh yup, and she's like 9 years old. It's like stuff like that.
Yeah, there's always kind of stuff like that on it. I think there's a lot of music on it these days.
Yeah, a lot of kids singing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They had some like young lad come on and he was like rapping at one point. It was
this year.
Yeah, he was like 17 or something.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
fair play to him. Like,
yeah.
I was going to mention about the solstices. You know the whole idea. Well, a solstice is. By the way, I will mention this. Do you know the difference between a solstice and an equinox?
I don't actually know.
Most people don't. I used to get them mixed up all the time. So a solstice is either the summer solstice or the winter solstice. The winter solstice being the day with the least amount of daylight, and the summer solstice being the day with the most daylight. An equinox is spring and autumn. It's the
That's kind of what I was thinking.
It's the midpoint when they flip. Yeah. So it becomes the point where there's more daylight than not, and then the other way around when there's more. And a lot of prehistoric. Well. Yeah, prehistoric, you think you could say. Stone Age, a lot of them sites in Ireland are designed in the Stone Age, in the Neolithic, so that the light will shine into a chamber on an equinox or on a solstice. It depends which one. The most famous one by a million miles is Newgrange, County Meath in Bruneboyne Valley. That
they're live streaming that this year.
Yeah, they've been live streaming a few years.
Have they? All right.
Very few. It's very hard to get because Newgrange is a passage tomb. I think it's correct to say, and it's very big, and it's the most famous one in Ireland, and it's they always mention it's older than the pyramids, and rightly so because it is.
Yeah.
And there's a chamber in that where it's designed so that on the winter solstice, which isn't always essentially the 21st of December, it can actually move a little bit depending on the year.
Yeah.
It can be around the 23rd. The light will shine down and illuminate the entire passage on the solstice. Yeah. And it'll happen in the morning as the sun rises. One big pain in the ass for people that get tickets to actually see it live is that, like in person, is that if it's a cloudy day in December in Ireland, which is frequent,
all the time,
it doesn't. You don't really see the sun doesn't shine down like that, but you paid to go see it and stuff. But that's not the only site that does that. Knockrow, I'm not getting the name right, is in County Kilkenny. I actually want to go there this year to watch the solstice happen there. The very big difference between Knockrow is, so in Newgrange, it's in the morning when the sun rises at dawn, and which actually is quite late in the day in December. Like it's not 6 in the morning; it's like 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
You'll see that happen at Knockaroe. It'll occur. It'll illuminate a passage on the mound, both in the morning and in the evening.
All right.
And people at sunset, and people congregate to go see this as well, and have every intention on going this year. And these aren't the only sites. There's actually quite a few sites like this. And I don't know, it's kind of like, even for ancient peoples in Ireland, it was a big deal. When the winter solstice happened, because the day after that happened, now we're back to the days getting longer.
Yeah.
Very, very slowly. But then eventually it comes February, and you're like, oh my God, look at the grand stretch out there, fine stretch out there. I mean, they were saying the same thing. Not in English, not fine stretch. They're saying the same thing years ago, thousands of years ago. So it was always an important thing this time of year, whether for people before Christianity came to Ireland, to celebrate the solstice and celebrate the changing of the days like that. But I mean, Christmas isn't even really supposed to be, as in like the birth of Jesus Christ isn't supposed to be at Christmas or in December. Essentially, I think I've heard it's September, really?
Again,
I mean, I don't know how someone knows this.
Like, going back to earlier on, we were talking about the 6th of January. It was something to do with the Julian and Gregorian calendars. Where,
is that what it is?
Yeah, because I didn't look too much into it, but like some people back in the day believed that the birth did happen on the 6th. Mm-hmm. And then because of the calendar change back in, what was it, the 1500s or something?
It is when the calendar change from Julian to Gregorian occurred. It occurred, but it took, honestly, a couple of hundred years more for it to actually filter down to every part of society.
Because I have here, it was like 1582 when it was introduced by Pope Gregory the 13th. XII is 13, isn't it? In Roman numeral? 12. Yeah. No, XIII.
13,
13, yeah. And I meant Christmas was 11 days earlier then. So.
See, the thing is, I think I mentioned this on the Halloween one, that, because they have, of course, Halloween's the 31st of October. Halloween or Samhain. And if you look at some old records and documents in Ireland, they talk about the thing called Old Halloween. Yeah, and it's the 11th of November. Yeah. And or it's between the 9th and 11th. And I actually had to ask a guy one time, a guy who worked for the Irish Folklore Collection in UCD, well, what, like, because I couldn't find the answers. Like, what are they talking about when they keep saying Old Halloween?
Yeah.
And blew my mind when he said it. He said when the Gregorian calendar, when they changed a lot of the dates around, changed by about 10 days. When that was introduced, it took a long time for that to actually filter down to all of society.
Yeah.
So that if you did it by the Julian calendar, what we now in the Gregorian calendar call the 9th of November, to them would have been the 31st of October.
Yeah.
So the 9th of November, what we now call previously had been Halloween, and now the 31st is Halloween. So they kept calling it Old Halloween, and this is the new Halloween, the 31st.
Yeah.
So similarly, that makes sense for me with the 6th of January and the 25th of December.
Yeah. But the thing you were saying about September as well, I have heard something about that before. I mean, it was 2,000 years ago or more, so it's hard to... I think a lot of things would have got lost in translation there. What about swimming on Christmas Day and New Year's? Did you ever do that?
I'm so glad you brought that up. It's something that's fascinated me for a long time.
I've never done it.
I've never done it. In Mullingar, at the diving board on Loch Oul, as long as I can remember. And I have asked my parents. She said, my mum said in the 60s that began, in the 1960s that began at the diving board in Mullingar at Loch Oul.
Generally fundraising events and stuff now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is more so. Yeah, but on Christmas Day at noon, I think, or 11 in the morning. It's 11 in the morning or noon on Christmas Day. People will go down to the diving board. A lot of people. I mean, I remember when I was there, a lot of people will go down there, jump in the water. They don't really do much. They're just going to jump in and get back out, and it's cold and all that kind of. It's actually a really nice thing, because otherwise you just don't leave your house on Christmas Day. But it's better to go see people like that. These days, a lot of people actually wear Christmas hats doing it, jumping in, and it's actually it's all around the country. They do it in Dublin. They do it in Salt Hill and Galway. They do it all over.
Because I have here at Salt Hill and Galway, Sandy Cove and Dublin are the two biggest spots in the country.
Big ones.
Apparently.
Big ones. No, there's more in Dublin too. There's ones in. I mean, both of those are in the sea. But we do ours in a lake because we're landlocked and we're the lake county. But a lot of places, anywhere that's got the sea or a lake, there's an old tradition in Ireland of on Christmas Day. going for the Christmas Day swim. And I remember when we lived in Edinburgh, there was actually a New Year's Day swim in the 1st to 4th. Because in Scotland, New Year's is a way bigger thing. Thing. Which makes sense to me. It's not that much later and it's cold either way.
I used to see videos of people running into the ocean at Portobello and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it's I've never done it. My dad has done it. I've seen him do it when I was a kid. Sometimes I think I'll go and I'll do it, but maybe I will this year. Go make a video about it at least.
I don't think I'd have the minerals for it. No, way too cold. The minerals. I
don't know. Back when people were doing that, like the whole lake swimming, sea swimming thing every day in winter, it wasn't really a big thing. These days, it's a huge thing. You know.
Yeah.
Are you into that?
Swimming on
cold swimming in the lakes or in the seas. Well, lakes here, like.
Yeah, it's not too bad. See, because I've asthma as well. Like, if I jump into cold water, my neck gets really tight really quickly. So
it can be very cold water if you're not able for it. Actually, it can be bad for your, like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to start doing it.
Because even if I'm swimming in general, I'll take a puff of my inhaler before I get into the water because it can make my chest very tight.
Yeah. Well, sure. Look, you can sit and drink the eggnog or drink the
whiskey on the side of the lake.
Drink the whiskey on the side of the
lake. Sit in the freezing cold.
I might do it this year, who knows?
Or what about putting a candle in the window at Christmas? There's no tradition of that.
It is. When I looked at the Dukas collection, the Irish folklore collection online, I tried to look up, Christmas traditions that they did in the, and it's a great resource because, like I said about the older medieval traditions, that's never really a folk tradition. It's never really the lay person's experience of Christmas. It's whoever wrote the history's experience of the Christmas. But when you go into the Dukas collection, it's very much the lay person, the folks experience of Christmas. And they did talk about decorating the house with holly, decorating the house with wreaths, whitewashing the walls, putting up the candles. I always heard when we were in school the candle had to do with anyone who was homeless or had nowhere to stay that
shelter.
night.
Yeah, I think like the original idea of it came from Mary and Joseph. They were looking for a place to stay, so I think that's where the tradition comes from.
Yeah.
But I was reading there the other day as well about it, and I think it would have been cool to see back in the day. You never see it, maybe in rural Ireland, but before electricity, the candles in the window would have had a significant effect on the landscape at night, which I think would have looked pretty cool.
Like going past, because there would have been it's black as night going around the place.
You see like little
black
glowing candles in windows would have been nice. Like,
would have been, and you'd have been welcome to go in, really, or was it just lip service, really?
Apparently, I think in where was it, County Armagh or Fermanagh? They probably don't do it anymore, but they used to leave their door unlocked as well.
Oh yeah,
for that. But I don't know. I couldn't imagine just waking up in the morning and there's some lads sleeping there. Like, we know where to stay last night, like. I
don't know. I might. I've no personal
it'd be taken advantage of as well.
Yeah. I mean, I've no personal experience of that kind of thing, but that is an old thing I did hear. That is absolutely an old thing I used to hear about. Do you remember we were in the Gael School? There was one of our storybooks, could have been Bungabore or something like that. They made reference to. What was the one where there was like a homeless guy and he was like buddies with the kids?
Oh, Pater Ploosh. Yeah, that would
Pater Ploosh. It had something to do with putting up the Christmas light in the window because they'd be welcome in, and he came in and had the Christmas with them. Yeah.
The whole concept to him was ridiculous. It was this old lad who lived in a bush and used to give children advice. Like,
was this Bungabore?
No, there was a standalone one called Pater Ploosh. There was other ones as well, like Lucy, Disco Namo. I can't remember all of them, but they were kind of. If I showed you the cover of them, you'd remember them, definitely. Yeah.
Let's translate a second here. We went to a Gael School. We're going to do an episode on this. Bungabore means bottom to top.
Top to bottom.
Top to bottom. What was the other one you said? Oh, Disco Namo.
Disco Namo.
Cows disco.
Yeah.
Disco the cows.
And Spa-slong as well. Spaceship.
Oh,
I don't remember that. I was in 6th class.
No, I don't. I'd have to see them. And I'm kind of surprised 6th class. I was not that long. Well,
or Tina Canov, which was bonfire. I think it meant bonfire, but fire, bones, Tina Canov.
I mean, you remember these a lot better than I do, and your Irish is way better than mine.
Sometimes.
Always for me. I mean, I learned Spanish since, and
like if I went to a Gael talk, they'd think I couldn't speak Irish properly at all. But like, I'd say if I was like immersing for like a week, I'd say I'd be flying.
In 2 days, you'd be pretty good. I'd say. It does come back quickly. I was going to mention about because of course Nollaig is Christmas in Irish, and it's a totally different word. Doesn't sound like it's the same root or anything like that. And Santa Claus is
Daddy na Nollaig.
Yeah. Daddy na Nollaig, like Chocknish and Noosan Chimalair.
Oh yeah, Archie.
Hey, I remember that.
Interesting point on that song, right? You're referencing Jingle Bells, right?
Uh-huh.
in English it's jingle bells, jingle bells. In Irish it's boola bus, boola bus. But the direct translation for boola bus is clap your hands. So it's completely different. Like,
and Todd, that didn't acknowledge the shock to introducing Jim Malaria is Santa Claus is coming down the chimney now.
Yeah.
When we in the school we went to for primary school, we were supposed to speak Irish the whole time, and even in the playground and everything like that. The only time we're allowed to speak English is when we were doing actually learning English in class.
It was always a clandestine operation.
Oh yeah. It was like prison. but yeah, so we know a lot of the we were doing songs like in Irish and do you remember we used to pray every morning at the beginning of class and at the end of class as well?
Arnahar tar nav.
Sorry again.
Arnahar tar nav.
The funny thing is, that's the beginning.
I can recite the whole.
That's the beginning of the Our Father in Irish, and Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Da 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 da. But we learnt that in Irish, and we learnt the Hail Mary in Irish, and you know when you went to confessions, and there's a different prayer you say at confessions.
I can't really remember.
I only knew it in Irish. I never knew it in English. I never knew that prayer in English. I only learned it in Irish, and now to be honest, when I'm actually doing a lot of these prayers, I don't know if you do too. I didn't really know the words. I just knew the sounds they made
phonetically.
Phonetically. You're just kind of saying whatever. Arnahar tar nav. The leifta anam. The godagadaria.
Knefra hol an talav. Mar enter and yav. Orner on the hool. Tordu and you. I can't remember.
Hispanu
something like that.
I'm just saying sounds now, like mumbling, like
the same as me. Yeah.
How's the Hail Mary go?
Something
Hail
along
Mary,
the
full of grace, the Lord is with thee. A shade of wait. A shade of Ahawera. I told on the grass. I told Tir na Hispano who Idrigana.
August something.
I don't know actually the words. I just make noises.
Yeah.
Oh damn, we're out of practice.
We'll cover this in the Gael Skull.
Yeah, we'll do the Gael Skull. We're going to do a Gael Skull episode, reminiscing about Gael Skullity.
Yeah.
Gael Scully.
Gael Skull, no.
Gael Skull. No, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
How do I say thank you in Irish again? Carmagat.
Carmagat. Yeah.
Oh, you nearly got caught out there.
Put me on the spot.
Over here. Oh yeah, but I want to mention about Nullig. Because Nullig sound, I did look it up, like where does the name Nullig come from?
Yeah.
And do you know the Medieval Irish History podcast?
I know of it, yeah.
It's actually a pretty recent one, only started a year ago.
Yeah.
And they mentioned in it, they talk about it. Actually, you're one that runs it actually has a piece in the book Christmas in the Irish Miscellany.
Yeah.
And they say that Nullig, the word Nullig we use now for Christmas in Irish, in Old Irish was nutlick. I don't know if I'm saying it right, pardon my Old Irish. And that comes from the Latin word natalatica, which means birth, apparently. So it was always I used to think maybe it comes from an older Irish thing, but I think it always comes from the Latin idea of Christmas, Yeah.
Not the metal band.
Not Metallica, no. They never did a Christmas song, those guys. What did you make of the whole idea? I know. They would have got number one if they did. I mean, they're Americans, and that was a British and Irish thing,
Yeah.
What did y'all make of the whole Christmas number one thing?
Don't know. Like, I mean, there's some good Christmas songs out there, and I don't know, indifferent to it really.
But what do you make of the whole thing where back in the 70s and 80s, prior to that even, because back in the era when Top of the Pops was a big thing in Britain and in Ireland, they would always announce who the Christmas number one is. And apparently the 1980s and 70s, I think too, Cliff Richard was trying to get it every year. He got that tune, Christmas time, mistletoe and wine. Not the best Christmas tune going, I don't think.
No.
And then in the 2000s, especially late 2000s, the X Factor every year in a row would get the, not that they were guaranteed, but the way the show was set up, basically there, because it was the biggest show on TV, like it was huge at the time, and our fellow Mulgarian, Niall Horan, whose group One Direction didn't win, but is, I think, by far the most successful thing that's ever come out of the X Factor.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think I don't even think anyone's a mile near them, but they didn't win it. I mean, Little Mix came out, but still they're nowhere near as big as
no.
I mean, just talking about Harry Styles solely.
Yeah,
he's the biggest thing coming out.
Yeah,
of that.
they went fairly nuclear, like.
But they didn't win it, so they didn't do the Chris number one thing. It was but like Alexandra Burke, she did a cover, I think, of Hallelujah, the Leonard Cohen tune.
Yeah.
And I could be. Can you get that up, Miles? Was that Alexandra Burke did Hallelujah in 2008?
I think it was. Yeah.
I think it was her. Yeah. And the following year, they tried to get Joe something. I can't remember the guy who won it. They tried to get his song number one. And did you know this? In 2008, when Alexandra Burke, it was Alexandra Burke, Hallelujah. Miles just pulled it up there. When she won the X Factor and she did a cover of the Leonard Cohen song Hallelujah, which is more famously covered by Jeff Buckley. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When she did get the Christmas number one that year, not a lot of people know this or remember this. The same year in 2008, there was a campaign on Facebook.
I remember.
Not the one you're thinking of.
Oh, right.
There was a different campaign. It was a precursor.
Yeah.
There was a campaign to get the original Leonard Cohen song to be Christmas number one instead of the Alexandra Burke one.
Yeah.
And it didn't actually work. It didn't. She still got Christmas number one.
Yeah.
However, it sowed the seeds for what happened the following year. You know what happened in 2009?
Rage Against the Machine.
Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name.
Yeah.
There was a huge campaign on Facebook to get Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine as the Chris number one. And it worked. And it's absolutely demolished the idea of Chris number one ever since. And I think that was a great thing. Your man, Joe McKeldry.
Yeah.
He got, I don't even know what the song was. He got number two.
Yeah.
Actually, in Ireland, let me just say this. In the UK, Killing in the Name is number one. In Ireland, which we don't always count that one, I'm pretty sure Joe McKeldry was number one. It wasn't Killing in the Name.
I just wonder what the lads in Rage Against the Machine thought.
They were delighted. They played. Did you ever see the video where they?
They were told not to sing the.
They were playing on BBC and they were actually just back reformed like a couple of years before, and they were told not to sing the lyric "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me."
Yeah.
And Zach De La Rocha, the singer, does start up by going, "You, I don't do what you tell me. You, I won't do what you tell me. You, I won't do what you tell me." And then when it drops, he does do the outright "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me," and he got about 4 of those in until they cut him. That was pretty funny. And what they always said even back then was that through subsidiaries or through outright, Rage Against the Machine were signed to Sony, and so was the X Factor guy, so Sony was the one who made the money either way. But I don't know, what do you make of the idea of the Chris number one like that? Like, it's not a thing after that Rage Against the Machine thing in 2009. It's just not really. Kind of just gone away like that.
I don't know. I never really pay attention to it because we're talking about the sausage roll man there.
Lad Baby, the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Lad Baby, yeah. Like, I didn't know that was going on at all. Like, and he got Christmas number one a few times for just singing.
He did for charity. His one though, I guess.
Okay,
didn't he? I don't know what his charity was for.
I don't know why. No, I have no idea.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that was a thing at all. I didn't really pay much attention to it anyway. Like,
it used to be a big deal. I remember I remember this so distinctly. In 2002. Yeah, I think 2002. Eminem had just put out the album, The Eminem Show, which had what's it called? Till the roof comes out, till the lights go out, till I collapse. That tune.
Yeah.
He had that tune on it. He had Stan on it. It was the album of the decade.
Yeah.
And the tune Stan was out, and the music video for Stan was out, featuring the Dido or the sample of Dido, and. And I don't remember back then, that tune was out of this world. Like, it was so serious. It was the music video was great. The sample was great. The back, the Stan rapping and the Slim rapping was great. Yeah. And the same year, there was in the UK for Chris's number one, because back then Chris number one was still a big thing. Stan was sure to get it because it was the song of the year. It was so good. However, there was a charity song by Bob the Builder. Yeah. Bob the Builder, can we fix it? Bob the Builder, yes he can. That one was trying to get Chris number one in the UK, and that was a charity song, and it actually did get Chris number one, and Stan got number two, and that felt like such a disservice. But then I just remember this so distinctly. My granddad, he's dead now, but back then he lived in Cork City, and my we'd always go down and visit. And back then, especially driving, these days it takes about 2.5 hours to get from Mullingar to Cork City. Then it took about 3.5 hours. It was a lot longer a journey.
Okay. It'll take longer.
It took longer, yeah. There's a lot more bypasses built since back then. You were doing a lot of back roads and like roads through towns. And on the way back, because it was always very close to Christmas, we knew that Bob the Builder had won the British, the UK #1 Christmas song, which was the main thing. But they were counting down the Irish Christmas #1, and Stan got the Irish Christmas #1. And I remember my whole family, my sisters and my parents cheering in the car for that, because it was a song of a generation at the time,
it was huge. Like,
and to hear that getting Christmas #1, I mean, was it a Christmas song? No, but was it for charity? God, no. It filled Slim's pockets.
It did.
But it was so deserving. It was such a great tune. I remember that so well. Yeah. Well, talking about Christmas tunes in general, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you my #1 Christmas song. Are you into Christmas tunes at all, Shameen?
They're all right. Yeah.
Well, my #1 one is, and it has changed over the years. My #1 is Last Christmas by Wham. Really said by George Michaels. He's the only one that actually sings in it. But it's a Wham tune. That's my favorite one. Mine used to be Fairy Tale New York. But I've heard it so many. I mean, you hear these every year so many times. But I used to love. It used to be my favorite one, and then I just think I heard it too many times. But the Wham one just feels so classic, and the Mariah Carey one I love as well. All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. I mean, I'll give like special say to the John Lennon one. So this is Christmas, and what have you? That's too cool. That is too cool. That tune. How about for you?
Yeah, maybe that John Lennon one actually. I do like Fairy Tale New York as well.
It's a banger. It's a great one. Like.
I was a fan of Shane MacGowan, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Just the whole attitude he had, like just
bit of a lad.
I
don't know if we'll keep this in the podcast, but I remember you called him once the only man that ever made a career off being locked.
Yeah.
Will we keep that in?
He's probably not the only one.
I know.
Ozzy Osbourne did as well.
Oh, true. Oy, that was loud. I mean, what's other good ones you like? What do you make of there were cheesy 70s ones? Wizard and Slade. Slade, I wish it could be Christmas every day. Sorry, that's Wizard. That's Wizard?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one as well.
And Slade is, so here it is, Merry Christmas. That one, that's Slade. Yeah. Both cheesy 70s ones. I used to not like them, but I actually find them very like joyous right now these days. Yeah.
The thing is, like, the Mullingar Winterfest is right behind my house.
Yeah.
So
you're doxing yourself.
The house is getting the house is getting blasted with Christmas music every day. So it's a bit annoying, but
yeah. But you still like to hear Fairy Tale New York during it.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's very kind of melancholy song with this kind of optimism behind it as well. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a really interesting thing, the whole thing, because Shane MacGowan's vocals are great, but they're so, especially at the time, this one, like, what kind of a Christmas song is this with the way he's singing? Like, but it works so well. It works so well. Yeah.
It kind of has this bitter.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, exactly. It just has this kind of bittersweet thing to it, which I think is where the popularity of it comes from. Like, go on, fill me up with a bit of sherry.
Yeah. Go on, it's Christmas after all.
Yeah.
I know, I'll keep it off the laptop. Touch them under. Do you ever remember a White Christmas in Mullingar, like where it's snowy on Christmas Day?
I remember that, what was it, 2010 or 11 when it was like...
2009 and it leading into 10. Or was it 10?
No, I was studying in Cavan that year, actually.
So that meant it was 2010. Yeah,
2010, because that was crazy, like.
Yeah.
And then there was that other one. We were in Edinburgh at the time. Remember they called it the Beast from the East.
That was in March. The Beast from the East was in March.
That was
insane. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. We actually had a very light version in Edinburgh. In Ireland, it was actually way worse. Like Mick got stuck in Delvin for like 3 days for it. I had to stay at Gaffney's house. And I remember he said they went to the first day they went to the bar.
Yeah.
And he was like, going to get a pint of Guinness. Like, we've no, because they couldn't get any deliveries in. Get a pint of Guinness. And I was like, there's no Guinness.
Yeah.
Can we get a Heineken? There's no Heineken. Can we get a Carlsberg? Because in the end they got Smithwick's.
It's mad how places go out of stock so quickly. Like within 2 days.
Yeah. No, bar like filling up stock is serious business, like heavy duty, like.
Yeah.
But I don't really have any memories of like a White Christmas like that so much. Like in Ireland, February and March and not really January. February, March are if you're going to get snow, it'll be in February or March or January.
I
too.
always find snow an awful nuisance, to be honest.
Really? Why?
Right,
I love it.
Remember our flat in Edinburgh?
Yeah.
The steps at the front.
Oh,
they were a death trap.
You know my scar on my eyebrow?
Is that what that's from?
Yeah, I slipped. I've got a scar on my eyebrow. It's not that visible, but when I lived there a few years ago, it was in.
I can see it now. Yeah,
you can see it now. Yeah, it actually looks pretty cool. But I think it looks cool. But that was actually in January. And we had these stone like steps coming out of our building because it would have been above like a basement below. Yeah. And I went out with no shoes on because I was walking around with shoes on. I was just going to the shop across the road, so I didn't put my shoes on. Yeah. And I don't know if that helped or didn't help, but either way, the steps were icy, and I slid off them and smashed my head against the curb. Jesus. And I was wearing glasses at the time, and they flew off my face and broke a little bit. I still got them back. And there was like a guy and his kid walking by. And I roared, "Oh shit, fuck!" And I got up, put my hand on my head like this, and then I went to the guy, put like that. I went like that, took my hand off, and said, "Is it bad?" And he was like minding his kid, like kind of thing, like so, like didn't want his kid to see a guy with a bloody head. And he was like, "Oh, it's bad" or something like that. So I went back up and didn't go to the hospital, even though I should have, because you couldn't get a concussion from that. And no, I had a big, it was a bad gash I got. But I made a cool scar. And I'm okay since. Those were lethal.
I slid down those steps as well once, but there was a broken bottle down at the bottom that was covered in snow.
Oh, Jesus.
And my hand slid on top of it.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and I didn't realise my hand was cut until like I was like a good bit up the street. And someone said to me, it's just like, what's wrong? What's wrong with your hand? And I looked down and there was blood pumping out of my hand.
Oh my God.
It looked worse than it was. It was just one very deep cut, kind of up my wrist a bit.
Probably didn't even hurt.
I didn't even notice it. Like later on, I did start feeling a bit off.
Was there drink involved?
Not then, but when I started drinking later on, like, but that was bad. They were a death trap, like. But like in general, I just find it a bit of a nuisance because, like, especially when it gets really bad and everything has to shut down. It's not like in Canada where like they have the facilities to support.
Yeah, snow plows.
But here it's like no, not at all. Like
I remember in the
slush. Like
I remember the big 2010 snow. We had to dig out our car. Yeah, my mom had never in her life, and she's in her 60s now. Yeah, and to this day, that's the only time she ever had to dig out a car. It was that bad, the snow. Do you ever see the aerial photographs of Ireland that Christmas? Like the one from like the International Space Station. It was literally like the Arctic or something. The whole thing was ice. The whole thing was snow. I think that's why it was class, actually. Yeah. Maybe that was for the Beast from the East. Maybe that was the Beast from the East, not the 2010 one. We're due the big one again. Like, it's not happened in a few years. We're due the big one again. I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
It is cool when it happens, because I remember I got a few days off from work at the time as well. I remember I walked the whole way to work one of the days during the Beast of the East, and then they emailed me saying I didn't have to be there and had to just slog back. Usually it'd take me half an hour, but it took ages.
Yeah, and you'd think you'd have a good time, place to be open. No, everyone was closed. Like, bars weren't even open. Like, there's nothing to do. Like, just sitting home.
I think Margiotta was open.
Oh, but sure, they'd be open in an earthquake or like, the apocalypse or like. So I wanted to talk about Santa's grave.
Okay.
Which I don't want to, like, if there's any kids listening, I don't want to say Santa Claus is dead or anything like that. Sorry, just Miles made a face there. Sorry, it's Miles.
He's not dead. He's
not dead. He's not dead. He'll be down your chimney on Christmas.
Yeah, don't worry.
Leave out the cookies.
You get the PlayStation.
Whatnot. Yeah, you'll get the PS5.
Yeah. Hopefully, though.
Yeah, but have you heard of Santa's grave in County Kilkenny?
I thought he would have been buried in like outside of Munich or something. He's German, isn't he?
Well, he's not. Well, I always heard Lapland.
Oh wait, that's Finland, isn't it?
Well, some of it's in Finland, I believe. Yeah. But it's but no, what they call it Santa's grave. They call it the grave of Saint Nicholas.
Okay.
It's a grave in County Kilkenny that's said to be the grave of Saint Nicholas, and people like make a video saying it's Santa Claus's grave.
What got him?
Yeah. Jesus, too many mince pies, too many cookies,
too much Guinness.
Yeah, he fell off the roof because Tim Robbins. What's the actor's name?
Tim Allen.
Tim Robbins is in The Green Mile. No, pardon me, Shawshank Redemption.
I forgot that film even existed.
Which one?
The Tim Allen one, where he falls off the roof.
The Santa Claus.
Yeah, and then Tim Allen has to become
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Do you remember we watched that in Edinburgh? And we realised, like, when we were adults watching it, this is actually a really sad movie about, like, divorce and, like, a family breaking up. And it's not really a joyous movie at all. No.
Why did they say it's his grave then, anyway?
They say it's the grave of Saint Nicholas. And I'm going to sound smart because I'm going to edit around this kind of thing. So I'm going to look it up now.
Is Saint Nicholas actually a canonized saint, or is it
like canonized is an interesting thing. Like when they talk about, do you know Knockine outside Mullingar? You know when you're driving from Mullingar to the Crooked Wood, to Crooked Wood, the village, and there's a hill on the left side, very tall hill on the shores of Loch Derivara.
Oh, is that the one that it's like the previous chancellor of UCD lived there or something like that? There's like a big property on it.
Perhaps.
A big manor house.
Perhaps, but that I am not aware of. But perhaps the case. But either way, that's called Knockine because Knock, hill in Irish, and or Canuck, but Knock,
Is there Knockline as well? Is it the one where you can see all the lakes in the county when you're on the top of it?
Oh, on top of it? I mean, I have been on top of it. Can you see all the lakes? Funnily enough, there's a history of Westmeath made in the 17th century by a guy called Henry Piers, and back then he called Knockine the tallest hill in County Westmeath. He wasn't right. The tallest hill is Mulgameen, a bit more north of that. But Knockine is very stark. It's very starkly just rises up, so it looks very tall. Whereas Mulgameen's rises very gradually, so it's actually taller, but it doesn't look taller.
So more of a gradient.
Yeah. And but Knockine is named after a Saint Ian, spelled E-Y-O-N, Saint Ian. And there's a Saint Ian's well on that. And I used to think, there must be is there surely not a database of all these saints somewhere because, surely they're all canonized? And no, the answer is there's very little known about Saint Ian. A lot of them are just not canonized. They're just maybe previous deities or folk tales or someone important at the time. There's not that much known about them. Like Saint Fechin, Saint Fechin, pardon me, Saint Fechin or Fechin, I can't remember to say it. I never said Oldcastle in 4, very close to Oldcastle. Is a similar thing, although he's more well known. Saint Ian is a really unknown thing, but Saint Nicholas is a pretty well known thing. His grave in County Kilkenny. Hang on a second now. Believed in the tombstone of Saint Nicholas of Myra or Myra. I don't know how to say that. I don't actually know where the story comes from. I'm not going to be too informed sounding here.
But you love a bit of conjecture.
I love there's a popular caravan because we're recording in the caravan for conjecture. I will say that. So I just wanted to bring that up to just bring it up. That Santa Claus is dead and buried in County Kilkenny.
Don't know now.
Where are you going now?
There could be anyone down there.
Yeah. Did you know that in when you get advent calendars these days?
Yeah.
And they're all the month of December, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that for the Advent, even in our parents' time actually, it was actually for fasting. It was like Lent. You would actually for Lent, which is the 40 days leading up to Easter, you would give up something, or you'd actually fast in general.
Yeah.
They would fast for the Advent not that long ago, and maybe some people still do, rather than the whole kind of whole flahula like food and drink and all this that leads up to it these days. What do you make of that?
Say that again. Sorry.
Fasting. Are you a fan of fasting?
Sorry, I zoned out there.
Yeah, I know.
No, I've never really fasted.
Really?
No.
I
apart from maybe being on a big drinking session or something.
I used to live with a guy who, when I lived in Spain, and he was big into fasting. And,
intermittent fasting for.
Yeah, he would do it.
Calorie counting reasons, or.
Oh no, it was a lot of people that fast. They do it. It's and I think they are right to an extent that it can be good for your health intermittently fast, to not eat for a whole day, the whole waking period. I guess you would count it as. Or even if you're beginning, he also talked about half day fasting if you're just beginning off, and even he had it really worked out. He said there's dry fasting and wet fasting. Wet fasting is where you drink, you're fast but you drink water.
Yeah.
And dry fasting is where you don't even drink water. Yeah, he was big into it kind of thing. But geez, I don't know. I've never tried it myself.
No, I wouldn't be too bothered. I like a bit of food, so
I like it a bit too much myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're kind of running through the the checkpoint, the checklist of Christmas traditions, but there's one I really wanted to bring up, and I've never done it, and I want your opinion on it. Tell me, what's your opinion on the 12 pubs of Christmas?
Oh God, right.
Yeah, go ahead.
From growing up in a bar, right?
Yes, I remember it well.
My dad used to complain about it a lot.
How long are they doing it then?
I don't know. I think it might be more our generation, to be honest.
I think so. They weren't doing it in the 90s.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people say, like, anytime I've given out about it in the past, there's just like, well, does a bar not want money? It's like, they do. They want money from the locals.
Yeah.
When 12 pubs groups start coming in, they can scare the locals off for a night, which can be a big hit to the actual money they're pulling in.
Oh, yeah.
Now, obviously, if it's a bigger bar, it's not going to really matter, but for smaller ones, it does. Plus, I don't really like the whole, you know, they have all these rules.
I'll never hear this.
You know, they have rules and.
Yeah. Depending on the 12 pubs group, some of them have rules where you have to take a shot in a certain bar, or you do this in a bar.
Right.
I've never done one.
Yeah, I don't like it. Like, I mean, it's grand if it was like, if you're just going to 12 different bars in a day, but it's all these rules and stuff which I don't like.
Do you actually drink 12 pints or 12 drinks? It's a lot of drink.
I mean, I go with 12 drinks because 12 pints, like, I get so bloated, like, so I'd have to break it up with a bit of whiskey or like a gin and tonic or something. But no, I've actually don't think I've ever done it. I might have like joined in maybe halfway through or something.
Yeah, I mean, Miles pulled it up there while we had a break, and apparently it actually did start in Ireland. The 12 pubs of Christmas. Yep.
That's it. That's all you have to say.
It started 10 years ago.
Yeah, because I remember, like, you know, Penny's Primark outside of Ireland.
Yeah.
They sell a lot of Christmas jumpers, and a lot of lads wear their Primark Christmas jumpers and that kind of thing. Also, well, Bally or Little do it as well. Like, you know. So apparently it did start there and then moved to the UK. It actually started in Ireland. I don't know, I mean, good business, I guess.
Can be for a very short period of time.
Here's a funny thing. My brother-in-law's from, well, he's from Roscommon, but his nearest town was Ballinasloe, County Galway, but he lived outside in Roscommon. I had to make that disclaimer or I'd hear about it. He's a proud Roscommon man, not an East Galway man. And he says they can't, well, at least he told me recently that they can't do the 12 pubs in Ballinasloe because now there's only 11 pubs in Ballinasloe.
All right.
So I don't know what they do.
You can work your way around that, like.
Just drink 2 pints in one of them.
Yeah.
Or go, I don't know, to Crockwell or something. Or another pint. Yeah.
But no, overall, I wouldn't be too bothered. But like when I'm going drinking, I prefer just sitting in the one spot.
Yeah. Plant yourself, absolutely. Yeah.
Plant yourself, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Become what's the word? Sedentary.
Yeah. I'd like a lot of pubs wouldn't be too keen on them, especially when it gets to the end of the night.
Yeah.
When they're on the last ones because
they're hammered, like.
Be hammered in that. Like a lot of the time, people who go on 12 pubs aren't going to be the rowdy type. They're going to cause trouble. Usually, it's usually office work dues and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of Christmas parties do it. I think.
But people can
Christmas work parties.
Yeah, but people can get a bit messy on them. But yeah,
people getting messy in pubs.
No,
never.
But too messy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what did your dad make of Christmas in the bar in general? Because like it can, you know, like Christmas is meant to be a joyous time, but like people get really fucking drunk. Like, was it ever an issue?
Well, in our place, not really. Like we like Dad had a good rep in town, so there wasn't really much trouble there at all really. To be honest, I don't think he was too fond of like when they come in with the rules and that. One year in particular, I remember where one of the rules that they had that he'd found out was to take something from the bar. And he had,
if it's a beer mat, okay.
That'd be fine. But he had these mugs from all around the world that people bring him that are hung up, and someone was trying to take them down from that, and he was just like, "What do you do?" And he was like, "Oh, it's one of the rules." He was like, "I don't care, get out." So
no, that's. No, that could come to blows.
That's not on. If you're taking a beer mat or something, that's irrelevant.
That's what you should take, if anything.
Yeah, not a mug or like an ornament from the bar.
I mean, a lot of people will probably take a pint glass, which you shouldn't do either, but...
I think a lot of them get them free.
I know.
But yeah, it was the same thing with stag do's and hen parties. Like a lot of bars don't like having them in because they get too rowdy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's a lot of places that actually do the opposite and specialise in that because they know only certain
Carrick
places.
And Shannon and stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, Carlingford, County Louth is a small place, but they like smaller stag. It's not a big place, only 4 bars. They like smaller ones. Actually, I believe they try to have some stags there because there's a market for it.
Yeah. It's just when you're running a bar, especially a smaller one, you don't want to run off the locals. And if it's known for like stag do's and stuff coming in, you're losing your biggest revenue stream.
Yeah, and
most of the
stag
year,
do's are
so-
seasonal. Stag do's are, well, I mean, weddings and stags happen all year round, but there's a big focus at summer and at Christmas.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
it's not going to happen in like March.
Yeah,
or like,
exactly. Yeah. So it's like if you have a rep for them coming in, and then like it comes during an off season, if the locals are scared off, then that's a big problem.
Miles, can you pass the Baileys, please?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Just
Jeez, this is something else.
yeah.
Yeah, we drank a bottle of sherry. Man yourself.
Man yourself.
Oh, man yourself.
Oh. Straight into that.
But,
I'll have a bit in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll leave in the middle. Don't even ask. Just put away.
I've the goo now anyway, so
Jesus Christ Almighty! Sure, we might meet Sharpless yet because he was just waiting for the bar to
Oh,
open.
yeah,
He was saying,
yeah.
I don't know, sure. Look, yeah. Another thing I want to talk about big time was what for you are Christmas movies, and I don't just mean movies that are obviously. wait a minute. I don't just mean movies that are obviously
Yeah.
based at Christmas. I mean, like like the Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
or before the Lord of the Rings, Indiana Jones movies, even in even in the Father Ted Christmas special, maybe we'll talk about. They in the movie in the Christmas special, they turn on TV and it's like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is just beginning, and they're like, oh, brilliant, like because that's pure Christmas movie. It does nothing to do with Christmas, but instead they turn on Latin Mass and. So what for you is Christmas movies? What do you like watching at Christmas?
this is going to sound very strange, right?
Really?
But every year at Christmas, not any particular date around Christmas, but I always watch Das Boot.
One of the 80s. The German language movie.
Submarine one.
It's like 4 or 5 hour long movie.
Yeah. The only reason I do that, it was years ago.
Yeah.
I walked downstairs to the bar because we lived over the bar,
Yeah.
and Dad was watching Das Boot. And it was on Christmas Eve, I think, and I just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I wasn't until after he died,
Yeah.
right? And then every year since, it's been 7 years now, I've watched Das Boot at Christmas just because that was. Couldn't tell you the plot. It's so boring. It's all in German as well. But like at least one day during Christmas, I will have it on in the background while I'm doing something.
And I will say, I've never seen the movie. Let's just synopsize a little bit. It's a German. Is it World War I or World War II?
World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
They're in a U-boat.
Yeah.
They're a U-boat crew in World War II. So.
Very harrowing.
Is the whole movie just in a U-boat, which is a very
Yeah.
very confined space?
Yeah.
I've actually seen. I've never seen the movie, but I've seen historians on YouTube watch historical World War II movies and rank them, and they say Das Boot is the most spot on one.
Yeah. Like there's some bits that are very tense, like when they were getting into an actual fight, you're just like, oh god. But yeah.
They I've seen
It's
that
really long.
I've seen that in Das Boot that I've seen that historians say at one point they all turn off the machines because they've had there's a ship above them dropping depth charges.
Yeah.
And they all turn off the machines. But not just that, they also all personally, if every member of the crew stays perfectly quiet.
Mm.
And apparently that was a real thing because water sensors for sonic sensors to detect where the boat was could actually pick up like if a pan hit the wall in a U-boat, they could detect that. So you actually personally had to actually not say anything because they could pick that up. Pure tense for that. And another thing was at one point I think the whole crew goes to one end of the U-boat to redistribute the weight because they actually would do that. They actually did make a difference. And but no, apparently for building the set for Das Boot, it's not a real U-boat. Of course it isn't. But but they actually got the guys who designed U-boats to design the set for it, and apparently it is pretty spot on with how it would have been like a U-boat. Also, it's one of these things, I've never seen the movie, but I know a lot about it. By the end of it, they've all have huge beards, and so apparently that did happen because they didn't shave and stuff on it. So they actually would come out of a U-boat with and they'd be underwater most of the time.
Yeah, for ages.
Even though they can surface. And they just have huge beards by the time they get off it. They just didn't shave.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah. So I'll probably watch that next week.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Or wait, sorry,
I'd
no,
like to watch
we'll cut that one back. I'll
Wait,
probably
yeah,
watch that in the next few days.
Yeah. Watch from Christmas. Would you want Christmas Day tomorrow? Like,
maybe I might watch it tomorrow. Yeah, and see.
Run yourself.
It's a bit of a weird one.
Are you at all a fan of It's a Wonderful Life, the Jimmy Stewart movie?
I don't think I've seen it.
Do you know the one where he where the main character, he wishes he was never born, and then the angel comes down and shows him life if he was never born, and It's a black and white movie.
No, I've not seen it. No.
Really didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I'd actually put that in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Let alone a Christmas movie. Yeah, it's one of my favorites of all time. Let alone Christmas. I'll be watching that.
Yeah.
Another one I really love. I don't know if you've seen it. So you know, but everyone knows. I don't have any brothers. I just have sisters. I have 2 sisters, and so as a result of that, I watched every teen movie and rom-com for years, and Mean Girls or all that kind of thing, and I love all those movies. But we watched Love Actually. Actually, my sister's a big fan of The Holiday, the one with Jude Law and Jack Black and that. And I love that one too. But Love Actually, do you know the one with a huge ensemble cast? Who's in it? Hugh Grant is in it. Liam Neeson's in it. And it's actually really, really good Christmas movie. It's just I don't know. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
You've not seen it?
No.
Came out 2003. Watch it. It's so good. It's so good.
I know
it's
the one
good.
you're talking about.
Yeah. It's so good.
Is he the man from The Walking Dead in that?
He is. I didn't know he was English. I didn't know he was English. He's English. I didn't know he was English. Yeah,
he does a good Georgian accent. I think that's where The Walking Dead is set in Georgia.
In Georgia? State of Georgia?
Yeah, the state, not the country. Yeah. Atlanta's in Georgia.
Georgia.
Atlanta,
Georgia.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't expect him to be English, like.
No. Also, did you watch Bridget Jones's Diary?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
That's a great one. I love Bridget Jones's Diary. That's not quite a Christmas movie. Well, you can watch it at Christmas. A lot of it, the beginning and the end is based around Christmas.
Yeah.
Renee Zellweger, Bridget Jones, she's American.
Yeah.
Blue, she does the English accent to an absolute fucking T.
Yeah.
I can't picture an American accent.
Yeah.
His English accent so well.
Yeah.
Also, Hugh Grant's in that, and Colin Firth's in that.
Yeah,
I think Colin Firth is in Love Actually as well. No, that's a good one. That's a very good one, actually.
Aye.
Yeah.
You think what else?
What about? Okay, tell me about this. Are you a fan of Die Hard?
It's grand. Yeah.
Come on.
I like it. Yeah.
You should more than like it.
It's good, but
I love it.
I wouldn't have it up there.
I have it up there.
Yeah.
I have it up there as one of the best action movies ever made.
Yeah.
A lot of people, the way Alan Rickman's a bad guy in it.
Yeah.
A lot of times you don't remember the bad guy's name. You just remember the actor's name, Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
No, Hans Gruber. Everyone knows his name's Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
And even the building it takes place at Nakatomi Plaza. I've sometimes been gone to been around a building that kind of looked like Nakatomi Plaza, and people say, "Oh, it looks like Nakatomi Plaza." Who have been with it? It's I don't know. It's just even the building name is famous in that movie.
Do you ever have any Christmas games that you'd play at Christmas? I'm not talking about board games. I'm talking about PlayStation or something like that. Because I have a few.
Let me tell you something. And this is a foundational thing in our adolescence.
Yeah.
I was in your house above the bar in 2006, before Christmas though.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna say Metal Gear Solid 3?
You were playing a game. You were playing a game, the series I'd never heard of, called Metal Gear Solid, and you were playing Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Great game.
It's my favorite game of all time.
It's the same.
My favorite game of all time. No, you told me your favorite game was Final Fantasy X.
No, it's Snake Eater.
It's Snake Eater. No, wait. Let me just.
It's Andrew says.
Andrew's favorite game is Final Fantasy X. Yeah, Final Fantasy X. 10, but he says X. A lot of guys say X.
Yeah.
Because
now that is up there.
I know I've never actually played that one.
Yeah.
But I'm never a Final Fantasy guy.
Yeah.
And but no, I was in your house, and you're playing Snake Eater, and anyone that doesn't know, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is a. How do you synopsize this? It's an espionage game that came out in 2005.
Yeah.
And it's part of a very long-running series, and it's
political intrigue and
it's a game series that's very deep in political talk and philosophy, but also it's got such dumb stuff in it. It's a Japanese game, and when I saw you playing it, the things that drew me in about it was
the box.
Huh?
The box.
No, it wasn't the box. The box is one of the disguises you can use in the game is you can cover yourself in a cardboard box and enemies can't see you, because it is an action game. Tactical espionage action.
Yeah.
They always say Metal Gear Solid tactical espionage action, because you can fight guys in it or you can just hide.
Yeah.
But no, in Metal Gear Solid 3 specifically, you can eat food to sustain you, and you did the thing where you went into the that was the first thing I saw you. In the game, you can going to a menu where you're reviewing the main character, Naked Snakes, like bodily form, like to medically if he's okay.
Yeah.
But then you can spin him around so much that when you go back to the game, he vomits. And I was like, what? What? Why would you even include that in a game?
Yeah.
And then when you're eating food and he'd eat a ration. And he was
disgusting.
No. Other things he didn't like. Ration, he was like, that's damn good. No, he actually liked rations. We liked the food. He would tell you if he liked it or not. And I just thought this is absolutely hilarious. And like, why would you even include details like that? But what I didn't like about it was that Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater and the previous games are played in overhead angle. Which now I'm okay with, but back then looked really, it just felt very weird to me. But
you
told me,
Subsistence.
you told me in room that they're bringing out a special edition of it called Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, and in that you'll be able to play in the other camera, like in a normal third-person camera angle. And that was it, sold. So I will say my favorite game is not Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. I will specify Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence. Because the way you can change the camera angle from overhead to third person is a game changer. I know it's obvious to say, but it's a total game changer. And you can do it instantaneously during the game. So that's my favorite game. And that was, I got it that Christmas. I got three video games on Christmas Day 2006. You know what the three games were? You know what one of them is? I just said it. Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence.
Let me think.
They're PS2. They're all PS2, of course.
No. Actually, I don't know.
The other one was Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones. The third game, the Sands of Time series.
Wait, Devil May Cry.
No, I got that after. The last one was, you wouldn't get the last one. The last one was Scarface, The World Is Yours.
Oh, right. I remember you were a big fan of that one.
And I never finished the game.
I remember you playing it a lot.
It was, I couldn't, sure, like when you're that, young, you just can't really figure out what's going on in the game sometimes. And I don't know. Also, even Prince of Persia, it took me like a year and a half to finish that because it was just so bad at games. Here's another funny thing. I would see the Prince of Persia games on shelves in shops. And to my child's mind at the time, the cover of the video game Prince of Persia Warrior Within, which is number 2, and Prince of Persia 2 Thrones, which is 3, looked very similar. And he's standing in a kind of similar way on the cover. But I thought I was buying the second game in the series. I was actually buying the third game in the series. And since then, I got them all and played them all and cleared them all. And 2 Thrones was still my favorite one. So I thought I was buying number 2. I was buying number 3. Number 2 is not that good. But no, those 3. Otherwise, that was man, what a great Christmas getting Prince of Persia 2 Thrones, Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, and Scarface. I love that so much. That'd be the biggest one for me, especially because the course it brought us on when we were like all into the Metal Gear Solid games was just like, kind of shaped us in a way.
It did,
It really did, yeah.
I remember there was months where we'd just be sitting in the second year locker room just trying to decipher the whole fucking story behind Metal Gear Solid because it was complicated.
And like we were kind of idiots because we were like kids at the time, and like we couldn't figure out half this. Like we thought that that Solid Snake and Naked Snake were the same guy, even though if you look at the chronology, it's 40 years apart. He couldn't be the same guy, but we just couldn't figure that out.
I couldn't figure that out. But I remember back in the day, I used to always over Christmas try and clear Jak 2 Renegade.
Jak 2, I was never into the Jak games. I thought they were really good when I saw you playing them when I played them. You and Andrew were really into them.
They were good. It was like, I'd always finish, I preferred Jak 3, but I think Jak 2 was shorter, so I could finish it in a shorter space of time.
Yeah.
But I used to always do as well. I only done it again this year again, and it's been a long time since I've done it, but I've always bought a Pokemon game around Christmas. Bought Pokemon Scarlet there the other day, so I'm going to play that over the Christmas period. I came out like last year, I think, but I was away last year, so
the last Pokemon game I played is Pokemon Crystal.
Wow,
on Game Boy Color.
That's way back, 1998 or something.
No, early 2000s.
Was it? Okay.
I remember when I got Pokemon.
Oh, it would have been 2002, I think.
About that. I remember when I got Pokemon Blue was my first ever one on Game Boy Color. I still have it. I still have Pokemon. Ooh, do I? I've got my Game Boy. Got it from with my communion money in 1997. I think 98. Wait, it was in the 90s, anyways. And I got Blue. Andrew got Red. It's the same game. I think I might still have Blue.
Yeah.
I'll have a look in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, not in a minute.
I still have my old cartridges. I've turned them on every once in a while.
They still work.
All the lads are still
They
there.
still work. Yeah, they're all still there. They still work. They still work. They still work.
The day and night cycle doesn't work anymore because the batteries are gone.
That can break. That can break. The day and night cycle can break. Yeah. Well, otherwise it'll work in 100 years' time.
Or another one I used to play as well a good bit. I haven't done it in a while. Is Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube. It's pretty much Legend of Zelda, but you're just a fox.
Yeah.
Same format.
I mean, I never had except for a Game Boy. I never had a Nintendo console like a GameCube or a Wii or anything like that.
Yeah. I didn't have a Wii,
which is a shame because I loved God of War and Prince of Persia and that. So I would have absolutely loved Legend of Zelda. Twilight Princess looked great. It looked great, and the new ones look awesome.
Breath of the Wild and Tears of the King, they're very good.
They look great. I would have loved those. I love that Link never talks in them.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, no, they're very good games. Then trying to think of other ones that I played around Christmas because usually if I was like between college or back from Edinburgh and stuff, like all my stuff would be in Edinburgh apart from my old console. So there'd be a few that I played. I remember I played there was 2 years in a row where I cleared Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Mass Effect. Oh, Mass Effect. Yeah, that one. I was thinking Bioshock for a second.
Yeah.
I never really played those much. I mean, I remember for Christmas getting got the Elder Scrolls 4 the edition that had all the expansions in it, like Shivering Isles.
Shivering Isles was great.
Shivering Isles wasn't even really an expansion. It was basically a game on its own that they threw in as an expansion. One actually is funny. One Christmas I got The Darkness on PS3.
Oh yeah,
I cleared it, and I thought that was shite, and I sold it back. And then in hindsight, I kept thinking back to how strange it was. It's definitely the weirdest game I've ever. Well, it's up there with the weirdest games I've ever played.
Remember, you could watch all of To Kill a Mockingbird in that game on TV.
In the PS3 game, The Darkness. Which it came out in 2007, so it wasn't a launch title, but it was very close to the launch. It doesn't have the best gameplay going, but it's got this really interesting way of telling a story. Like there's different TVs in the game that are in like dumpsters, and in them you can genuinely watch the whole of the movie To Kill a Mockingbird with Gregory Peck. You watch the whole thing.
There's a few other of those.
There's a few movies. I love the scene where like. It's got such good visual storytelling. Like there's a whole scene in the game where you come into your apartment and you're like cuddling with your girlfriend and stuff, and it's not gameplay, but it's such immersive storytelling, you know?
That's where you can just sit there and watch all of
you can just watch a movie with her. It's just such weird. And then the bit where, he gets a drill into his face. Yeah, that was like, because you're getting in first person perspective, getting a drill in your face. And I think you would have had a 6-axis controller at the time, so it would actually vibrate when you're getting drilled in your face. It's just like, I'm not going to say it's a brilliant game, but it's
not a very Christmas game.
No, but it's a very interesting game. I actually bought it again secondhand. So like, this is such an interesting game. Never played the second one.
We must do a podcast on games and see if Irish ones.
We will. There's a few I really want to do.
Folklore
was one I was going to say. That actually, I still have it. I have it in my room.
Does your PS3 still work?
I don't know.
Mine doesn't.
I don't know. The PS2 still works.
Folklore won't work.
I know it won't
work. Then there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla had like pretty much all of Ireland. You go to Athlone and everything.
Yeah, you go to Athlone.
Then I don't know. What else we could do on that? Maybe games developed in Ireland.
Yeah. What games are developed in Ireland?
PUBG, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, took off. It was kind of like the precursor to Fortnite. That was a lad from Galway. Then Baldur's Gate 3 as well. That was a lot of development went on in Dublin. You can tell a lot of the dialogue in that game is in Hiberno English as well. It seems a bit out of place. Sometimes. You
were telling me years ago about, because you're a big MMO player, massive multiplayer online game.
Oh god,
wow, yeah. I only played WoW, World of Warcraft, like a very little bit, but you still play it to this day.
Oh yeah.
You were telling me like
17 years that.
I know, and it's still the same guys you knew 17 years ago. You see them every now and then. Crazy. It's a great community. Like long may it last. But I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, it's not pulling in any more players. It's kind of pulling old players back. It doesn't have a very good new player experience in it, but like it still has like 10 million players or something.
But who's their competitors? Because I remember years
Final
ago,
Fantasy 14, Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of new ones that came out recently. There's one by Amazon. I can't remember the name of it. I haven't bothered with them.
I remember you were telling me about this MMO you found where like all the servers had names like Ishka and like this is year. What was this? It was like a small MMO. All the servers had like names that were just Irish words.
Oh, I can't remember.
No, this is like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah.
I did notice as well. Like there is a lot of MMOs out there that do have a lot of like Celtic mythology in them.
Oh yeah. Did you know
Final Fantasy does as well?
Did you know the Elder Scrolls games? Not but from the Arena and Daggerfall especially before number 3 Morrowind.
Yeah.
Like they changed it in Morrowind and Oblivion to be more like the Imperial's more like classic medieval fantasy kind of like castles and kind of that. But before that, maybe it was the Bretons. It was more Celtic mythology involved, especially in Daggerfall, seemingly.
Yeah.
But I've not played Daggerfall. I doubt you have.
No, I haven't. No. I must though.
I'm never going to play Daggerfall. I've watched. I mean, apparently it's very hard to go back and play.
You can get Daggerfall Unity.
The Unity version.
Yeah.
Apparently, no. The original is just. Apparently, it's basically a broken game. It doesn't actually fully work. No, you can clear it, but you're not going to know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of older games already run on Windows properly. Like I remember trying to play Fallout New Vegas there a few months ago, and like you have to mod it so it actually looks decent on a screen because otherwise it doesn't really work that well.
Even New Vegas.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's old. It's older than you think. It's like 14 years old now.
I know, but that's not. I mean, it's not like Daggerfall, which is like from the early 90s or 96, actually. I think.
Yeah. Anyway, we got off topic there.
Have yourself a Baileys if you like. It's very nice.
I one
right there.
I'll have myself a Baileys.
2. Aye. This is great. This is Christmas.
Aye. Are we leaving all that game bit in?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, leave it.
Yeah.
You can chop a bit of it out.
Yeah. No, I'll go through with that kind of way.
Yeah.
But I want this to be a long one. I want it to be like a way plus an hour one, which it is already now. I want it to be like a good. It looks those actually people actually like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, people like it's like Dana and Shane and Max and fucking love this. Like,
yeah, Max and Shane were saying they like us talking a lot. So.
Talking about shite.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, like, okay, what are Christmas movies? So I just love talking about Christmas movies, big time. Damn, what are the big Christmas movies? I mean, like Polar Express.
Do you watch Lord of the Rings at Christmas?
The funny thing is, because we saw that in cinema when it was coming out. I never saw it with you. I was with my family.
Yeah.
And I used to very proudly say, because the first one was 3 hours and the other two were 3.5 hours. I used to proudly say, I never went to the bathroom during any of them because I was just so glued to them. And I remember the last one, Return of the King, was the first time it's happened once since watching a movie where like at the end of the movie they like, and you know the way the Return of the King has 3 false endings or 2 false endings in it.
Yeah,
I don't know why they did that. It was really stupid. Whenever the false ending happened, and like it's not like you're watching a play where there's actors on stage, actual people. Like everyone just started applauding during it. They didn't do it with the other 2 movies, but like this was like a 3-year journey that the world was on, waiting for these movies to come out.
It was,
and then when the final actual ending came up and it said the end, everyone applauded again last time and like cheered and everything. And I was like, what a fucking beautiful moment! What a beautiful moment!
I seen a little bit of that at Avengers Endgame, but not to the same extent.
No, Lord of the Rings was different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was little, before they started putting those movies on TV, because they were out, but they wouldn't put them on TV yet. It wasn't a Christmas tradition. The Indiana Jones ones, as long as I can remember, those were a Christmas tradition.
Yeah.
But then maybe when I was a teenager onwards, they started putting the Lord of the Rings on TV for Christmas, and rightly so, because those movies, I remember they came out in December. You'd watch them in December. Same as Harry Potter's.
Yeah.
I actually saw
Harry Potter's are always a Christmas film.
They're always Actually, they do a lot of big Christmas scenes in the first 2 movies for sure. Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. Which always look beautiful. But I remember 2001 went to go see the Philosopher's Stone with our family in cinema. The first Harry Potter movie, loved it. And literally the following week we went to go see Fellowship of the Ring, and I actually thought it was really scary. I thought
bit with Bilbo.
No, well, I didn't like it. It was only in the last few years I could watch the bit with Bilbo's face changing. It really scared me back then.
That scared the crap out of me.
Like, what I didn't like was the ring rates. The ring rates were terrifying. Which is good because they should be terrifying. I remember my dad noticed I was scared while I was watching it, and when we left the cinema, he was like, I was scared kind of thing. It was I like the movie. I like the movie after the ring rates got hit with the wave, and he was he noticed that I was scared watching them, and but he even asked our parents even asked me and my sisters after which you prefer Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, and we all three of us said Lord of the Rings. We thought that was way better. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know what the hell the plot was.
I was
except
very young,
destroy the ring and bad guy.
Yeah,
I don't know what was going on.
But even at that, I remember at that age as well, I couldn't tell the difference between Aragorn and Boromir. It wasn't until like the third one I kind of knew actually what was happening, really, like because we were like 8 or 9 or something. I
was 9.
I was in third class, I think, when the Fellowship of the Ring came out.
Yeah.
But big Tolkien fan anyway.
Huge, yeah. No, those are on my Christmas rotation. By the way, here's a question I want to ask you. I don't know the answer in your opinion. Extended or theatrical?
Theatrical.
Same.
Is all those stupid scenes in the extended with like Merry and Pippin smoking weed and
the drink off between Legolas and Gimli, which does happen in the book. But it should have stayed on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, but it wasn't like as silly as that. Like I think in the films they did use like Legolas and Gimli as like the what do you call it, comedic relief. Yeah. But there's one scene as well at the end of the Battle of Helm's Deep in the extended one where there's an Uruk-hai sitting underneath Gimli, and I don't know, it starts moving or something, and Legolas shoots him, and then Legolas says, "Oh yeah, he's dead now," and Gimli's like, "Oh yeah, it's because my axe is buried in his nervous system." It just seems so out of place. Like they wouldn't know what a nervous system is.
I know. I only saw Fellowship extended and Two Towers extended. I never watched the third one extended, but I didn't like them as much. I thought that stuff. Also, I didn't like Saruman's death in the extended. It's so stupid. I've seen that bit. That's so stupid. That shouldn't. That's why the extended. That's why the theatrical is better.
I noticed as well in the extended the CGI can be a bit shit. There's one bit where it's again at the end of Battle of Helm's Deep where all the Uruk-hai are running towards Fangorn Forest and all the trees start shaking around. It just looks so bad. It looks so dated right now.
Yeah, that's why my favorite one is the Fellowship, because it has the least reliance on CGI, because Gollum's not in it, and the what are the
Nazgul.
Yeah, but the thing they ride on.
Oh, the fell beasts.
Yeah, the fell beasts. There's no fell beasts.
Yeah.
So it's got the least like CGI.
I mean, it has the Balrog and the Watcher in the water.
Yeah, but that's true. Both are very true, but they're both. Well, the Watcher is very brief, and the Balrog is kind of meant to look fiery anyways. Yeah. Also, it's got the tensest scenes. I mean, like in in Return of the King when like Legolas is in full CGI form climbing up an elephant and like taking it down. So it looks like he can do anything.
Yeah,
but in the Mines of Moria bit where like they're like having to jumping from one pillar to another is a whole tense action scene.
Yeah.
And everyone is demonstrating their capabilities on it. Like Gimli is a proud dwarf who jumps on his own, doesn't need anyone to toss him. Legolas jumps no problem. Aragorn's the guy that minds people, so he stays with Frodo to get him over. It's just it gets character across, and it's a tense scene, and all they're doing is jumping from one column to another.
That is a very good scene.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. Or even where early on in the movie when the four hobbits they accidentally bump into each other and fall down a hill. When they nearly bump into each other in the Mines of Moria. But instead of that happening, Boromir grabs, I think, Legolas or whoever's in the front and pulls them backwards so they don't all bump into each other. It shows how, these guys are more capable. Like, it's just such good visual storytelling like that to get character across. And it's all such small things like that where you're not like, killing an elephant like in one go kind of thing. I mean, it was cool. It was never as cool as Helm's Deep when Legolas is going down on the shield and skateboard.
Helm's Deep, unreal.
Man, that was so good. It was so, when
he's 10 years old watching that.
It's just lads throwing themselves around the place, lads getting thrown around the place. It's so much fun.
It would have been great to be a part of that, like, wouldn't it? Aye.
I love talking about the making of the Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah, watching the making of the Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
it's just as good as the
films.
It's
just as good as the movies. It's just as good as the movies. They even say about the Battle of Helm's Deep where because all the Uruk-hai are stuntmen in makeup, and And they're like proper like roughhousing and everything, like throwing lads around the place and everything.
Yeah.
No, they said it was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Except that they were wet all the time, and apparently filming when you're wet because there's loads of rain in it. Well, fake rain is apparently brutal.
Think of the lads who were filming the opening scene to Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah,
they were lads from the FCA.
Yeah, that's in
RDF
Wicklow or Wexford.
Wexford, I think. Yeah. But that would have been awful, like.
Well, thank God they weren't doing the actual Normandy landings.
No, that would have been terrible.
Well, at least put them through something similar, you know?
Yeah.
Why, Saving Private Ryan, is that a Christmas movie? You're big into war movies, like.
Yeah, I liked them, yeah.
I thought you were big into war movies. If it's you're like, Das Boot at Christmas.
I like some of the, like, I like it when they're actual, like, they're not all big gung-ho, stupid crap. Like, did you ever watch 1917?
Not yet, no.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And then what's that other one?
Dunkirk?
No, not Dunkirk. I didn't actually like that one. It was recorded. It's like it's seen from like the German side, and it's actually pretty harrowing film. Like because you see them trying.
All Quiet in the Western Front.
I think that's it. Yeah. It's a pretty brutal film. Like you see them trying to desert and stuff, and you can see how like they didn't actually really want to be there at all. But then even like the last scene as well, where like they're doing one last whistle to see where the actual like lines for the countries are going to be, and some of them die. Then it's just so like, oh god, like that stuff actually happened. Like, they died right at the end when it was finished.
I will say about All Quiet on the Western Front. I've not seen it, but it's we're talking about the recent one. That's actually originally a black and white silent movie. Yeah, it's a really old movie. Apparently, it's brilliant. The original. I was going to mention because we're talking about war movies like that, and we're talking about Blackadder earlier. Of all series, the
last scene.
The last scene in the last series of Blackadder. Blackadder goes forth and they go over the top. Out of nowhere,
it's very sad. Like.
Out of nowhere, this really silly show becomes the most serious thing you've ever seen.
It's one of the saddest things I've ever seen.
It's one of the saddest things I've ever seen, and they all go over the top, and they all presumably get killed. And then actually cuts to the actual green fields of France. And then you're like,
it's a great song.
I mean like the fields in France. Where this happened. And it's like it's not just a silly show, like this actually happened. It's crazy stuff, you know. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Papillon.
I have actually.
Yeah, well, not the new one, the old one.
I've seen the new one. Yeah,
the new one with I don't know the actor's name.
I've seen the book is just sitting over there.
I do, and I've got the butterfly tattooed on my chest.
I actually bought that book a few years ago and read maybe a quarter of it. I must start that again.
Oh, it's a good book. I've got this. I've got Papillon there, the first book, and the sequel book. There's only two of them. Banco. But by Henri Charrier.
I remember you quoted something from that book to me a few years ago, and this is something I kind of carried into my 30s now. Is you said like, the guy got out of prison, and he was like, I still have my whole life ahead of me now.
He was there's a part in the second book, Banco, and he's about now. Papillon is a give or take true life account of a guy in the 1930s, Henri Charrier, who was interned in prison in French Guyana on a charge of murder, which he always claimed he didn't do. And eventually he escaped prison in French Guyana and lived the rest of his life in Venezuela. And the books Papillon and Banco account this. Apparently, most of what he's saying didn't really happen. Although the bit where he went to prison in French Guyana and lived the rest of his in Venezuela, that did happen. Overall, that did happen.
Was it penal colony?
He was in a penal colony in French Guyana. But there's a movie in the 70s, the first one, with Steve McQueen playing Henri Charrier playing Papillon, and Dustin Hoffman playing Louis Degas.
Oh, wait, don't you have a tattoo?
I do. I've got a butterfly in the middle of my chest. And he I was going to say, but he it takes a long time till he's properly settled out of jail. He breaks out a bunch of times, and by the time he's in Venezuela and living his life, he's 38, and he says like he was working with a bunch of guys in their early 20s, and he said I had as much energy as these guys because even though I was 38, like I had my whole life ahead of me, and like I'd been in prison for a long time, so I was living my youth now, and I think the phrase they use, and I think it's something people might say in French because this is not an expression in English, and it was just translated directly. It's a French. I mentioned that it's a French language book that's translated. He says we had so much energy, we were ready to break into a gallop at any minute. And like you don't say that in English, but it makes such sense. I think that might be a French expression translated.
Because I remember you were saying something along those lines to me a few years ago. Because when I was coming up on 28, 29, I was like, oh no, I've not done anything with my life, and I was like, you know what, I'll be 30, and that's fine. It's just like your 20s but better.
One thing I used to say a lot was I think it is in Papillon. He's so when the book and the movie begins, Henri Charrier is 25 years old. By the time he's 38, he's properly out of jail. In between that, he's in jail. The book Papillon begins when he's 25. Do we know what he did with his life before he was 25? Not really. We know he's from the Ardèche, and we know...
Was he on some kind of pickpocket or something?
We don't really know. I think he was an electrician or a plumber.
How did he wind up in the penal colony?
He was accused of murder.
Oh, that was it.
He was accused of murder. He always claims he didn't do it. He always claims he didn't do it. But that's why he was free. You wouldn't go to the penal colony unless it was a very serious crime like murder. But that book begins when he's 25. So back when we were like 25, I was just like, look, I mean, that book doesn't even begin when he's 24. No one knows, don't know, whatever, like, you can begin your life whenever you want to begin your life. It's like when you're playing the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, and you can begin your character as a young person or an old person because you can choose your age in it. And either way, you always hear the line from Patrick Stewart saying, like, your life beforehand, it doesn't matter. What matters is, so you can always begin.
Wait, do you mean Ian McKellen in Lord of the Rings?
No, Patrick Stewart in Oblivion.
Oh, right, sorry.
Emperor Euro 7 yeah.
By
the way, our producer Miles has just left to presumably use a loo or something like that.
I might need to do that in a minute.
He got sick of this. Carry on. What I wanted to say about Papillon the movie is that with Steve McQueen is that it always comes off as a kind of it's a brutal movie, but it always comes off as kind of an adventure thing, and it came out in the 70s. And when it came out, Henri Charrier, the author, was still alive. He died not that long after. It comes off as an adventure thing. Then in the last credits of the movie, it's kind of like the whole Blackadder thing, where out of nowhere it gets really serious and you realize, this actually happened. In the whole credits, it shows you the actual footage in the 1970s of the penal colonies in French Guyana. And they're abandoned at this point.
Yeah.
But they were only abandoned in the 1950s.
Jesus, all right.
Yeah. And when you see that, and you see the actual places where they were kept in captivity and in penal colonies, you were like this really happened, and even though a lot of his story is embellished and made up, the whole what happened, that's not made up in the slightest. And it's really hits hard like that. Kind of funny mentioning Steve McQueen, because one of the biggest Christmas movies for a lot of people, for some reason or for good reason, is The Great Escape. Do you like The Great Escape? Come on, you've definitely seen it. Have you seen it?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Come on. Get real, Shameen. Get real. You've not seen The Great Escape?
I don't think so. Is that what's his name?
Steve McQueen.
No, I'm thinking, what's the one with the prison?
It's Great Escape. Well, there's a few with prisons.
It's what's his name? The old fella. I'm a bit locked now, so
I know it's Christmas.
What's his name? Dirty Harry. I can't remember his name.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, was he in it?
No, he's in another. I think what you're thinking of is The Eagle Has Landed.
What's the prison in America?
Oh, sorry, you're thinking of Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah, that's one I was thinking.
You're thinking of Escape from Alcatraz. Good movie too. Good movie too. Quite a I don't know what way to put it. It's a very silent movie. It's not a silent movie, but it's very quiet. No, that's a good movie. That's based off a real life account. That's based off a real thing that actually did happen to guys that broke up Alcatraz. Mythbusters did an episode on it. And they proved that they could have done it. They could have gotten away.
I think I seen they had kind of a diorama of how the water would flow, and they'd be he could have wound up here, he could have been here.
But they also did a thing because it was 3 guys that broke out of Alcatraz, and they made a boat out of raincoats and glue from wood shop, and they definitely got on the water, and their raft was found in a certain place, but they weren't found, and probably what happened was they drowned. And their bodies were never found. However, the 2 Mythbusters and an extra guy, because it was 3 guys in the boat, made a boat out of raincoats and glue. But with safety boats around them, proved that you could have sailed off Alcatraz. They did off Alcatraz. You could have paddled off Alcatraz to the mainland successfully with 3 guys in it.
But didn't they do it when it was really stormy weather or something?
Yeah,
the
Mythbusters made sure to match the conditions.
Yeah.
Made sure to match the conditions, yeah. And they didn't prove the guys got off, they proved that they could have.
Yeah.
What a story. What a story.
I'm bursting on
one. Piss around there if you like. Would you ever visit relatives like your Christmas and that kind of thing?
Because we eat the bar, they usually come to us.
Oh yeah.
Not that to be sitting in there drinking all day or anything like that, but a few pints would be poured. Like on Christmas Day for me anyway, it's like because we had the pool table. I'd sit on the pool table all day just building Lego.
Build Lego. Yeah. We're both big into Lego. Yeah.
Like that eventually progressed into Warhammer 40k.
Well, that is a natural progression.
Yeah, I'm a real nerd, aren't I?
You've never played tabletop D&D, I don't think. No, that's the. I think that's the only nerdy thing you've not done.
No, I've done everything else.
Because you've done video games, MMOs,
Magic the Gathering, Warhammer,
yeah, 40k.
Yeah.
Like you collected more than played.
Yeah, I didn't really like playing. I preferred building it. Like
a lot of guys do that. A lot of guys don't. To be honest, I would say most guys I know don't actually play. They just collect.
Yeah, I don't really know that many people who have played it though or collected it.
Well, a lot of guys read the lore, like get the books and all that kind of thing. Like
Yeah. It's a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very expensive hobby. Very expensive hobby. Yeah.
A lot of people 3D print their own stuff now.
Oh, Jesus Christ Almighty. Well, rightly so. Because it's fucking so dear.
What was Christmas?
Did you? Yeah. Keep it. What were you saying, Shameen?
What were we talking about? 40k or something?
No, you're asking me about my experience of Christmas.
Yeah. What was Christmas like for you as a child?
Well, the main thing we would do first is so my dad's from Kerry / Cork.
Yeah.
Depends what day you ask him, which is from Cork or Kerry. He's born in Kerry and raised mostly in Cork. But my granddad, he's dead now, but he lived in Ballincollig in Cork, outside Cork City. So every Christmas we'd without fail we'd go down to visit him, stay in his place. And this day I still go down with my dad to visit all the family and everyone down there. And so it was always a pre-Christmas thing, the days just leading up to it. And by the way, Cork City is a fabulous place, fabulous at Christmas, very nice, very nice. I actually went the other day as well. Down to Cork for Christmas, and I made some videos down there. And that would begin like that. And then on Christmas Day itself, back in the days of Santa Claus, I was getting Lego, and then when it stopped being Lego, it became video games.
Yeah.
And it's for place my mom. She had to I don't know. She got no help on Christmas Day doing the turkey and all this kind of thing. She got no help. All the kids just played the games and what they got for Christmas and all this. But in recent years, it's since we've been adults, it's a lot more fun because me and my sisters do the cooking as well, and we all take it easy and have on movies. And we actually we would do it. We'd give each other presents. And I always found that so awkward. I always found it so awkward, even though it's a good thing to do. But this year we're not doing presents. And I don't mind at all because I actually really I love Christmas decorations being around. I love having people around. I love the music, Christmas tunes. I love the atmosphere around. But I don't, giving presents is also kind of awkward kind of thing.
I don't like getting presents.
Yeah, I always tell them what I want because, there's no point in the whole surprise thing. Screw that,
Yeah.
No, I don't want, these days I normally, back when I was getting, when we do Secret Santa for each other, I get books, basically. Got the Oasis, it was an Oasis book, came out a couple of years ago. I got that. Normally got a lot of novels, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I read mostly novels. Just that, watch the movies, chill out, a few drinks kind of thing. I remember for the last 4 years, I would do a Christmas treasure hunt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was I don't think I'm going to do it this year.
I was going to ask you, were you going to do that?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it this year. So I did it 4 years in a row, and the first year was absolutely brilliant. It was all the first year was actually mostly my cousins and more people, and then the second year was even better. And then the third, fourth year were good as well, but I was like, I don't know, do I want to it's a treasure hunt where you do them all
Did you do one
town.
last year when I was
away?
away?
Yeah, I did one. Yeah, I did one. Yeah.
The one before that I missed because I was absolutely dying from the night before. I remember you were messaging me going come on now, where are you?
We used to do it one of the days before Christmas Eve. And then after that, in the last 2 years, they did it on St. Stephen's Day.
Yeah.
Because St. Stephen's Day during the day is actually really quiet in town.
Yeah.
And we do a treasure hunt, like people have to find stuff around town to be a bag of prize and all this kind of thing. That was really good. I don't know if I'm going to do it this year.
Yeah. I don't think you really have time.
No, leave it off on a high note. People did ask, people have asked, but leave it off on a high note. I'd rather do something else, It feels like a shame because people really liked it. But yeah, I used to do that as a Christmas tradition. I remember in 2020, we my sister had her pal staying here as well. All right, look, Shameen. I think we ran through. Give me a second here. I think we ran through a lot of our points, and
you went way off Christmas there, but
no, look, fuck it. Christmas is not about. People say Christmas is about this, Christmas is about that. Christmas is about having a good time with your friends and with your family and anyone that's dear to you. And anyone that tells you it's about commercialism or it's buying people presents or about putting on appearances or whatnot.
I'm not bothered with the whole presents thing. If that wasn't a thing, I'd be okay with that.
No, screw that.
I just like seeing everybody in
Christmas
one space.
is what we're doing right now. We're having a good time with our buddies. We're having a few drinks. We're getting a bit merry.
Drunk and talk about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, there we go. Well, like we do every night. Well, like that we can.
Yeah, we do
every
that
affordable one,
Yeah.
But look, Shameen, it's coming up to midnight, and if we want to make it to the old stand or one of the places, one of the bars before the 25th starts. Or actually before, the Christmas clock. John Kenny's.
The
bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't even mention that yet.
Tell them about that.
Let me tell everybody about this. All right, in Mullingar town, and all the fellows here, Miles and Shameen, can back this up. There's a bicycle shop in Mullingar town, John Kenny's bicycle shop. Even as long as I can remember, this guy has a Christmas clock.
He used to be our neighbour as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. There's a shop down that lane, but he lived next door to us.
All right, next to Finn's, like.
Yeah.
He, they next to the Cross Keys, like.
You can leave it in. It's fine.
This guy, when we were little kids, he had a Christmas calendar in his front window, but the way it worked was he had to flip a piece of cardboard or paper every day, so that would show how many days till Christmas. So this guy, every single day, he flips it, and it'll show you how many days till Christmas. So right now, we've got 1 day till Christmas, and it actually changed a few years ago. These days, it's no longer a calendar he flips. It's actually a digital clock.
Yeah.
So he doesn't flip anything, but it still counts till Christmas eternally. It's a bit of a weird wonder of Mullingar. And 1 year, let me tell you guys this. All right. Let me ask these guys this. What do you think? So now that it's a digital clock, yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think happens at the stroke of midnight tonight on Christmas Eve? What will it say on the calendar, on the clock?
Just go back to the beginning.
It goes 300 and whatever days of Christmas. Yeah. It doesn't say 0. It doesn't say it's Christmas today.
Yeah.
I think it did used to when it was a paper calendar.
Yeah.
But now it just counts back to Christmas. So we're going to go out to the bars and we're going to have a Merry Christmas Eve after this. But I'm also going to make my business to be there for when it turns down to Christmas in Spoutwell Lane, outside John Kenny's.
Is that what that lane is called?
Yeah, Spoutwell Lane. Yeah, Spoutwell Lane. Yeah, Spoutwell Lane. To get a video of it. So, listen, Shameen, put your glass up. Merry Christmas.
Hey.
Miles, put your glass up.
Over the laptop.
Merry Christmas, fellas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
All right. Thanks a pleasure. Thanks very much for being here.
Play Metal Gear Solid 3 if you haven't.
Any last words, Shameen?
Play Metal Gear Solid 3 if you haven't.
Yeah, that's facts, by the way. Straight up facts.
No cap.
No cap. Dead ass. But, all right. Thank you very much, Shameen, for being here.
Always a pleasure.
And having a great chat. It's been absolutely tremendous.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Miles, for producing this episode and for staying here for our inane chatter.
Fair play if you made it to the end of that.
Big time. By the way, Miles doesn't drink. Miles is a teetotaler. So
boring.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm not saying you're boring. I just don't know how you put up with us.
Right.
I know, right? And you know what the worst thing is? For the editing, he's going to have to listen back and all this. You know what I mean? All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to the podcast. Have a Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening, and see you somewhere else in the Weird Island podcast.